streaming. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? Let's go live. Whatever. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Thank Doug it's Friday. I'm not sure who else is online right now, but I'm going live. Hi, everybody. If you're just coming in, please tap the back of the screen. Let's have some conversations today. I'm not looking for a debate. I'm looking for a good conversation. I got a couple of topics that I usually run here. And yeah, so if you're watching on TikTok, make sure you tap the back of that screen, double tap, send some, whatever's share out the live. I don't know what else do people do on TikTok. They do all those things. Yeah, do all the things. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to like with the thumbs up. Make sure you are sharing the live out. Hi, Rainbow. And yeah, let's have a little bit of a discussion. Let's have some fun here. If you do not agree with what I have to say, up here saying that you should be woke, supporting the LGBTQ plus is good, and that USA is not a Christian country in its foundation is what I mean. Change my mind or prove me wrong. If you would like to join up, you can actually click the little request button down here if you're on TikTok. If you are watching on other platforms, you could just type this into a browser. I did try to get the sound working between both applications. We'll see if that works. Goodness, we will see, won't we? All right, how's everybody doing? We doing all right? Hey, Kazak. Let's see what's all been going on lately. I watched a whole thing on JD Vance and how fake he is. He's the worst. Go woke or go broke. I mean, go broke, go woke. First, maybe you need to go broke to be woke, and then you can be woke, and then you won't be broke after you're woke because you have mental currency, right? Oh God, I don't even want to talk about currency. I don't know if anybody watching right now was watching my last live, but I had a couple of Marxists / communists / lefties come on, and honestly, they might have pushed me a little bit to the right. Not gonna lie. Thank you, Kazak. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the heart me's. I do appreciate any kind of support or sending the live out. Let's try and get some people in here, get some discussions going. I'm really hoping that the sound is not a nightmare. If you are watching on YouTube, please let me know if you can hear me or not. If you can, also let me know if you can hear any kind of echoes, because I don't want any echoes, and I will be trying to closely watch these sound meters over on my screens. But yeah, so I think that, a lot of people don't understand what the word woke actually means, to me, at least. A lot of people think that being woke is like being this like blue-haired, super progressive person, and I would disagree. When I think of woke, I think of, basically just being aware, hey, Lobes, what's up, buddy? Long time no see. I know you share your lives out, and I'm always like sleeping, because I am the worst, and I have to get up at like super early times in the day. Okay, here's the. Hello, are you there, David?
Yeah.
All right. David, can I get your age just real quick for TikTok purposes?
19.
All right. And what brings you on?
You should be woke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you should.
First, in the sort of semantics, would you say a good semantical reduction of woke is being aware of social issues or social justice issues?
Yeah, I would say it's just like being aware in general. Like, so it doesn't have to be just social justice issues, right? Oh, thank you for the big schlong there, Beast Boy. I really like that. So yeah, like awoke just means like not asleep, right? Metaphorically speaking. Oh, thank you, Pax.
But yeah, I feel like the problem with this definition is we could practice.
Why are you? You're hold on. You're dropping out like every second, like every like second and a half, like you just hit like a mute. So I don't know if you can like fix your signal or something. Thank you, Pax. Appreciate that. Appreciate you, Pax.
Does my mic have echo?
It's not really an echo. It's just like the sound like drops like every like 1.5 seconds for you. So like it's hard to follow what you're saying.
Maybe if I speak like this. Yeah,
Are
but
you like on like a headphone set or something or
uh,
sorry? Sound issues.
is this
You know,
fine?
it's only 2026 and sound issues are still a thing.
Yeah, but um,
Okay, you're
I
coming
feel
in a
like
lot clearer now. Yeah. All right. I
I
think we're
feel like
good.
the
Uh,
problem with this definition of woke, we could basically apply this to every single person that is political, has like political commentary, every like word written throughout history. I mean, I would say practically practically almost everybody could like think of a social issue in their mind, whether it be on a small scale or etc. But I feel like that is not how you use current woke today.
yeah, I would agree that the like I like news pundits and mainstream media has kind of like appropriated the term a little bit and either forcefully or not forcefully or purposely or not but in the end, I think that it's possible to clear it up, a little bit. So like I think that yeah, just being like aware of history in general, uh, and like uncomfortable facts, and not like trying to shut yourself away from, like things that make you uncomfortable. So like such as like the founding of America, the founding fathers had slaves, some of them had slaves. And a lot of people would just say like we don't need to be teaching that to our kids or something, but it's like why not, like I think that if they're old enough to understand what slavery is, then they're old enough to understand that it's possible that like the founding fathers may have created a good framework for the country, but they weren't necessarily good people like altogether.
Um, I would like rather debate this definition of woke. Maybe
The
like being aware
uh,
of a social issue that are called social issues by progressives, Marxist, leftist,
yeah, I mean like
democratic
I would also
socialist.
say, so I would say like that's part of it. But I would say like also being aware of like something that maybe progressives aren't really open to, right? Like I'm trying to think of something like a progressive wouldn't want, like some sort of hard truth that like progressives wouldn't want, like to talk about. But either way, like that's what I mean is that like it would be some sort of hard truth that anybody like would
But
like try to hide themselves from. I think that like woke is just being aware of those things.
with the like base definition that we did agree on, though, we could like even call maybe
Man,
like
it's like, is it alright if I like, do you want to like drop and like try and come back up? Like your sound is just like dropping out like every second. It's really hard to
yeah.
follow like what you're saying. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'll let you right back up. Just get right back in the box. Yeah, I appreciate that, David. Just because like I think that we can have a good conversation here. It's just like I can't, I was not able to follow.
Yeah.
All right. So like the definition of woke, like as a progressive thing, is not necessarily what I'm trying to argue, right? So what I'm just saying is that like people I think have a different definition of what woke is, and I think that like we should try and clear it up. So like if you don't think that like my definition is appropriate or like that's not really what you want to debate, that's not really what I'm trying to like. I'm trying to debate like saying like being aware of things. Like teaching CRT is a good thing. I think. I think that teaching like history that makes maybe us uncomfortable but is more accurate is probably the best way to go. Instead of trying to like whitewash history.
Uh, mm, but like I had I have one major problem with your like total view of woke
Okay, what's that?
being like over social issues. Then like we could call like maybe a school child woke that's like aware of kids getting bullied at their school. That's
Yeah,
like
like
a social issue.
keeping your
I
head on a swivel, you know? Basically, that's what I mean.
I
Like,
wouldn't call like that woke.
yeah,
I w-
see and I think that people have it wrong personally. Like, I think that the term has been like co-opted by people like, I don't know, like Tucker Carlson and like Charlie Kirk when he was alive, and others, you know, that like tried to say like, oh, this wokeism and stuff. Like, they turned these words into things that isn't representative of what they originally meant. And like, that's what I'm trying to say is like, yeah, you should be woke because first off, you know, like being aware of any kind of like truth is like being, you know, like red pilled or something. Even like I would say that being red pilled is being woke, uh unless you're like lying to yourself and you're living in some sort of like fantasy.
uh, I feel like this presupposes that these certain social issues exist. The base definition is kind of a major presupposition.
Right. Okay. So you're saying like the fact that we're calling like slavery in the past even like wrong or anything
No,
is
no.
okay.
The
Go on.
the definition being aware of social issues that presupposes that these certain social issues exist. We can talk about one if you want.
Sure. So, yeah, do you have one in mind that you want to talk about, and I can see like whether or not I think it exists or not?
Uh, certain
And,
social yeah.
yeah, like so, a social issue. You know, women aren't treated fairly. I don't think that women have been treated fairly in all of history. I think that is something that people need to recognize. Like, misogyny is a thing. And on the opposite side, some misandry is a thing, but I would say that misogyny is way more apparent
That women
and
are
prominent in history. And I would say that that's a social issue that exists
not getting treated fairly right now.
right now, through
Um,
history, and we are seeing, you know, like results of that, you know, from the past, from, you know, current setups of the way that like society is structured. And so I would definitely say that that's a social issue. I would say like the LGBTQ plus, how they're treated, is a social issue. I would say the treatment of African, or basically like anybody that's a person of color, in the Western society is a social issue.
on what metric?
On
On
what
what
metric?
metric?
I
Or are
mean,
you
we could
like
just go
saying
with
that
like
women do
healthcare.
not get treated fairly?
You could
On what
like
metric?
healthcare. Like, women are treated unfairly in healthcare all the time. So are people of color,
When?
especially women of color.
When?
When?
Yeah.
Like all the time. We have like tons of studies that support that, you know, statement. Basically, that there is an inherent bias that not only was once taught in like medical schools, but it is just like built in systemically into how like Western society views like people of color. Like, there's this idea that like, you know, they have thicker skin, or, you know, like pain tolerance is different, and there's just all types of things. It comes into criminal justice, it comes into healthcare.
Can you pull up these studies and tell me what
Sure.
method they're using?
Yeah,
And
sure. Let's see here. Like people of color in healthcare, inherent bias. All right. What patients of color? This is healthierus.org. Let's see if I can find something a little bit more. National Institutes of Health, implicit racial and ethnic bias among healthcare professionals and its influence on healthcare outcomes, a systematic review. So this is from the NIH. Let me try and pull this up here.
Does it prove that these issues still exist in the healthcare
Because we
system?
can observe them and document them.
Okay.
Let's see. So, yeah, this is the article right here. Implicit racial and ethnic bias among healthcare professionals and its influence on healthcare outcomes, a systematic review. So, like the background here. In the United States, people of color face disparities in access to healthcare, the quality of care received, and the health outcomes. The attitudes and behaviors of healthcare providers have been identified. Let me see if I can like bring this in a little bit. No, I want to do it on this screen. So, yeah, objectives. There's the search methods. We investigate the extent in which implicit racial and ethnic bias exists among healthcare professionals. Examine the relationship between healthcare professionals, their attitudes. Let's see. They have their search methods, relevant studies. We searched 10 computerized bibliographic databases in reference to the harvesting technique. We assessed the eligibility, data collection, main results. Almost all studies used a cross-sectional convenience sampling. Let's see. Conclusions. Most healthcare providers appear to have an implicit bias in terms of positive attitudes towards whites and negative attitudes towards people of color. Sorry. So, yeah, I would say that being woke is like being aware of these things and like not, like doubting them or to like, to like try and say that they don't exist. I would say that would be against being woke. Like that would be lying.
What's the argument that the study is true?
So I would say that truth is based off of reality and like what is, empirical, what is reproducible. And they are showing that this is empirical. This is something that we can see in the data over and over again. And they go to very large extents to explain that. And this is just like the tops. This is just me like searching without even trying, right?
So you are an empiricist?
An empiricist? Yeah, I would say that empiricism is a pretty good way to go about judging what is and what is not true.
Can you give me motivating reasons on why I should accept
Okay,
empiricism?
because if you have an observation and you are able to repeat it, then it is more than likely to assume or to expect that, like whatever you are observing should be repeated under those same conditions. So that would be reflective of like reality.
But how?
For instance, if a black woman goes into a waiting room, then I would say it is not outside of like absurdity to presume that they may get less of a positive reaction by healthcare workers compared to other people of like white color.
And yeah, even if I agree to the premise that like empirics can make something more likely to be true, how does that make it? How does that make it so? I should drop other methods, like let's say metaphysical claims, or arguments that are based on pure rationality.
Because we like the universe doesn't crumble with when metaphysics is like not supported, right? So I don't think that metaphysics is anything other than like a fun little mental exercise, right? So I like to stay in like what is testable, what is repeatable, what will you observe as humans, and through technology. We don't necessarily have to be like just using human senses. Like we could use radiation and things.
So because the universe does not crumble when they support metaphysical claim, that makes it so that arguments based on pure rationality and these claims, these are not like method for testing if something is true. I mean, I still don't get how this would be
So it
motivating
would we
reason.
would have to like base truth off of some sort of shared agreed like definition or something, like some sort of axiom, right? So I would say that truth is anything reflective of reality, and I would say that reality is, what we can observe and test and repeat.
Wait.
Hold on, actually, I do want to see if okay. So Lupin, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, David, can you hear Lupin?
Yeah.
Lupin, can you hear David?
Yeah, I could hear him.
Okay,
I
cool.
think.
So I think you guys are able to talk to each other. So yeah, we can continue this conversation.
Who am I talking with?
You're talking to Benny though, the host. I'm just making sure that you guys can at least hear each other.
Okay, so
Actually, Lupin, can I
uh,
get your age just real quick?
I'm 35.
Okay, so David and I are trying to talk here about what truth is, and I would say that like being woke is just being aware of the truth, and I would say that the truth is reflective of what is observed in reality.
So, what is the truth?
The truth is like one truth is that women of color, people of color, are treated differently in healthcare settings
How do you know that that's the truth?
because we have studied it. We can observe it, and it's repeatable.
You observe it, and it's repeatable. Have you done the study, or are you just going by what other people say?
I've read the methods, the conclusions, the David left. Bye, David. I don't know what David was like even trying to. I feel like David was just trying to discuss or debate for no reason. So yeah, the studies are just reflective of what is happening, right? Like they have methods. It's all explained. I just had it up on my screen. Do you want to see it?
Uh, well, let's go ahead and let's get to a specific example of what is woke. Would you say woke is allowing men to compete in women's sports?
Can you give me an example
Should
of
a
like?
tr-
So
should a
I
tr-
I don't want to
transgender
discuss.
can a
I
transgender
I
man
don't.
participate in women's sports? Is that woke?
So I think that being aware that trans people exist and that they
I'm
are
aware
also
they
humans.
exist.
What?
I'm aware they exist.
Okay, so that's being woke, right? And I think that being
No.
aware that they are also people and that people should be treated equally, so they should also be able to participate in whatever sport that they like fit into. I think that like segregating sports by gender is almost uh, archaic. I think
Okay.
that I think we would
So
be better off if we like maybe had like weight classes or like other benchmarks that don't allow for this like weird gender
so
argument.
what is weird about it? You think that a biological man, even in a weight class, even a biological man that identifies as a woman should be able to participate, let's say
I
in
don't
a
know what you
combat sport,
so
like
like so
you don't do you not know
there's the
what a woman
problem.
is?
Hold on, Lupin. So there's the problem right there. Is you just said biological man. So biologically, a man is a male or like related to a male to you, and what you
Are
mean
you
is
are you a
male.
man? Are you a man?
I guess it depends on
I
what people
guess.
consider me. I don't. I
How
mean,
how
like,
old
do
are
I
how old
identify
are
as a
you?
man? Sure. I
Okay.
mean, I don't
Are
really
you a
care.
male?
Yeah, I am a male.
Okay. So if you identified as a woman, then
Sure.
should you be able to fight in women's sports?
That's why I said
In
I think that like if I'm 189 pounds and the person I'm fighting is 120 pounds, that's
oh,
unfair, right? So like if I am fighting with a like say like a boxing and my opponent, I don't care what gender they are, if they're in like the same weight class, if they're hitting at the same like rates that I'd be hitting at, then
do you
I don't
think that
see
that's
anything problem. Like I don't have any problem with that.
so you don't do you know that there are physical biological differences between men and women that men are
You're using
biologically
so
stronger.
men and women are not biological terms.
A male is biologically stronger than a female.
Okay, but a male is not necessarily a man to me. Okay.
Well, you don't even know if you're a man.
I don't give a shit.
That's the problem. So this is a problem with you should
why
be
is
woke.
that a problem? Why is
because
this such a why is that such a problem to you?
Because this is such basic 101 like common knowledge that it's not even archaic.
Can you tell me
and you're confused.
Can you tell me how much the average female professional athlete makes?
During what sport? Which sport?
Any sport, professionally.
What does it matter?
Because it sounds like you care about women in sports and females in sports, but you can't really tell me. It doesn't seem like you really do care. It seems like you just have a problem with trans people in sports.
I have a problem whenever a biological male would be put in the ring or any sport where they would have a physical advantage over a biological woman or female. Yeah,
I think that if somebody has a physical advantage over another that's like beyond reason, then yeah, they probably should not be in the same, class, I guess. So
shouldn't be in the same class.
Yeah, I think that we shouldn't be segregating sports over gender, and we should actually be segregating sports over things like benchmarks. Like
what?
Like weight, or the ability to how quick you can run a 200 meter, how high your vertical is, how much weight you can bench press, or something like that. That way we don't have to have these really stupid men are in women's sports conversations. I think that it's a really dumb.
Men are physically stronger than women. Can you not? You don't agree with that? Like, even if you were 100,
all men are physically stronger than all women.
If you're 180 pounds and you go up against 180 pound women, a woman, you will. Well, I mean, I'm not sure about but the man is going to be physically stronger. He has higher bone density, thicker muscle mass.
You don't know that. What if the woman lifts weights every single day, and she's got a body mass of, or a BMI that's closer to 0, right? And I'm just all flab. Am I still stronger than her?
Yeah, you would be.
Are you fucking kidding me? So say she can bench 250 pounds. And I can only bench about 125 before I start shitting myself. Are you saying to me that she would still lose to me in a fight?
More than likely, yeah.
Why?
Because you have more physicality than a woman. You are even if I'm just stronger than a woman.
Even if I'm still I've never worked out, I can only bench 125 pounds. She's benching 250. She's doing squats. She's hard as a rock. And you're saying that I would still, just because I'm a male / identify as a man, that I would still kick her ass.
Yeah. So then let's
see,
go
that's
back.
the problem. That's the issue right there. What you're pointing out, you're just completely denying reality. So
I'm not
you're not
confused.
Being woke. You're shutting yourself off to reality.
I'm not being woke, because being woke is dumb and it causes you to lead.
No,
to
being
not
woke is being aware that a woman that can bench 250 pounds would kick my ass if I can only bench 125.
Well, you know what? I'll give you that. It's funny because you might be the exception. Maybe you are just a fat slob, and maybe you're a cripple. It's like, would a cripple that weighs 150 pounds versus a woman that's not crippled weigh 150 pounds, and they got into the ring?
So are you
who would win?
Likening women, female women that would be in sports? Oh, life restricted.
Can you tell me what a woman is?
I don't give a shit. I don't like to get into this like weird discussion of like what a woman is. I think that the term woman is a social
What
term.
is a female?
A female is a biological term for
What makes them a female?
there's a number of things. Their
Can you name me
chromosomes,
some?
their
Like-
physical traits, their phenotype, their there's a lot of things that determine sex and gender, and I like don't really care to get into it because I think that trans people exist and that their gender and sex don't align.
Because it destroys your entire woke ideology. That's why, and it should, because you're denying reality. You want to live in a fantasy land.
I'm not living in a fantasy land.
There's a natural. There's
denying
a natural
that trans
order to
people
things.
exist, while they definitely exist,
Who
is,
did that?
is living in a fantasy land.
Who denies that trans people exist?
Well, it sounds like you are. If
What
you're
is
saying that, like,
what is a trans person?
a trans person is somebody whose biological, like, assigned sex at birth and their gender aren't aligning.
Okay.
So, like,
So-
they may
so
be
what-
assigned a female at birth, but in like they consider themselves a man.
So is it a mental disorder because they have
No,
gender
I would say
dysphoria?
it's a misalignment. But like either way, like this is not what I want to get into because like I think that these
Because-
conversations like dehumanize trans people. I think that trans people are simply people, and that
Okay.
we should stop like trying to like put a fucking microscope on whether or not they are like
Do you
real.
do you have children?
No.
Okay. Let's say you did have a child. Okay. Let's say when does a person begin to become trans? Is it tell me that?
Wait, why am I getting harassment and bullying? I am gonna have to. Okay, for the next 10 minutes, it's not eligible. Okay, whatever. I'll wait out the 10 minutes, I guess. Sorry, since I have you up, it makes it sound like I'm being a bully to chat or something.
I don't know. That's probably a consequence of woke ideology
Okay.
because we can't have discourse because YouTube is ran by woke.
No, it's not YouTube. It's TikTok. You're also on
TikTok.
TikTok right now.
Oh,
so like
shit.
all this like dumb shit that you're saying is being shared to more than just people on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Well, didn't know that. Shout
So
out TikTok.
yeah, like why? So are you against just like people like in sports? Why can't we just make it like benchmarks, like I suggested? That way we don't have to have this like weird gender discussion, and maybe like sports would be more interesting. I think like I've seen like people.
Do you want to see a woman get beat up by a man?
I've seen like my friends' kids, like their daughters are in wrestling, and they fucking kick like boys' asses all the time on the wrestling like mats. So I don't see any problem with that.
That's called co-ed, and there's already co-ed sports.
Okay,
like
so make all
tennis.
sports co-ed, and we go by fucking benchmarks, weight classes, and things like that.
So in a football league, do you think a woman that trains as much as a man is going to survive and do just as good as a man in a contact sport such as football?
I think that if they are benching and running and wearing proper padding and like making sure that they're not tackling with their head and people are following the rules, I don't see a problem with it.
Do you think that that's even? Do you think that? Okay, let's take a man that's 150 pounds and a woman that's 150 pounds, and they're both training. They're both doing football. Do you think that they are going to be equal in strength?
If the guy is, like I said, if the guy's never worked out a day in his life, and
No, that's not what I said.
and she works out all the time, I could see her
that's
fucking
not what
running
I-
circles around him.
That's not what I said, though.
Okay, well then what you're saying is if a man that's stronger than a woman is in a sport, then is the man stronger than a woman?
If a,
Yeah,
if
it begs the question. Like, you're just- what are you trying to get at?
if both the man and the woman are both equally training for a sport, and let's say they both weigh 150 pounds, will that man outperform that woman?
I don't know. I'd have to see it, you know? Like, let's put them up against each other and see. Maybe she'll fucking win.
So, okay. Well, she won't, but it's okay. It's all right.
I think that's fucking misogynist.
It may be, but it's also truth. So I'm fine with being truthful. So the reason why we're talking about this is because the woke ideology ties in also with supporting LGBTQ plus IAARP, whatever it is nowadays. But what do you mean by support LGBTQ people? Why should I support them? By the way, I'm a Christian as well. So,
even as a Christian, I think that you should be supporting the marginalized.
What does that mean? I should support them.
That you should just, not deny them rights.
What rights am I denying
allow them to live their lives like without like expecting heteronormativity, perhaps.
Who's doing that?
Like all of society. For instance, I'm not a heterosexual man, right? So
you're not a heterosexual
male or whatever
man?
You want to like label me as. So I am in a relationship with another like man, right? I'm gay. So
you're homosexual. Okay.
Yeah. So when I was growing up, I was pretty much told that if I felt that way, that was wrong, and that I should, not feel that way, and that I should try and get a wife or a girlfriend and have kids and, whatnot and whatnot. So that ended up making me lie to like everybody I know. And I don't want that for other people, So for like 26 years, until I was like the age of 26, I didn't come out. And because I thought that, people would look at me a different way or whatever. And like, then I just stopped caring. Because I wanted to be who I actually am. So I came out of the closet, and I was very much, I like living a much better and happier life. And I like regret that I couldn't, be myself when I was in school.
So you're an openly gay man,
mm-hmm.
and you're living a life perfectly fine and happy.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you feel like you are being oppressed, or why do you feel like your rights are being taken away? What rights do you not have?
Well, like in 2015, like the right for like me to get married to like my partner became legal. So like it's only been like 11 years, and who knows for how much longer that's even federally recognized.
So. I mean, so marriage is a contractual agreement. So we would even have to define what is. I'm going to assume that you. Let me make some assumptions and let me see if I'm correct here. You're a liberal. You would probably consider yourself a liberal or left wing leaning.
Mark Ferrari, yes. It's not unconstitutional to outlaw marriage if they define it a certain way, right? Like Obergefell is the reason why like two like men can get married right now, or two women. So it was not allowed before. What were you saying, Lupin?
Are you left wing or liberal, or would you consider yourself left wing or liberal?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay. We already got the LGBT thing down. I could pick that up. Are you an atheist?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Because I do streams as well, and I find this commonality between the LGBTQ community, that generally they're liberals. Do you believe in evolution as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like maybe not so much as like what like Darwin explained, but like what evolution is understood as nowadays. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so
it makes sense.
Just for my audience, I would just say, this is why I kind of, for some reason, it's very easy to categorize you guys. You guys generally have a lot of the same ideology. I can pick that up, but whenever you say supporting LGBTQ plus is good, what do you mean by support?
So
Financially or what?
just
Why should we support anybody?
So like I said, heteronormativity for one reason, right? So like why is it, I think back to why I was lying to like everybody I knew and trying to like pursue a heteronormative like lifestyle when that really wasn't what I wanted, and the only thing that I can think of is because like it was not really accepted uh by people, and I think that it's becoming more accepted now, and I think that that's good, and I think that like accepting them is supporting them, and maybe I should change the word to accepting the LGBTQ is good.
I accept that they exist. I don't understand why I would have to support them. I don't find that they're an oppressed people, and actually I find that
I think that being like denying like the fact that they're marginalized is naive.
What do you mean that they're marginalized? I can't watch a TV series or a movie.
I don't know. Can you think of a slur for? Can you think of a slur for like a heterosexual person? I could think of like one.
A slur?
Yeah.
Effeminate?
That would be more like not so much for like a heterosexual person. So like breeders. Breeders is like a slur, I guess, that I've heard.
A bitch? I don't know.
So, but you could probably think of a slur for like a gay person, right?
A homosexual?
No, like I mean, like a word that it has like hate behind it.
Okay, so I mean,
can you think of it? It starts with an F.
What
rhymes with maggot?
Yeah, fag. But
Yeah. So why would you have to even say it right there? Like,
well, I mean,
does that make you feel good when you say that? Because I don't like that word.
It doesn't really. Well, it doesn't make me really feel anything. I didn't come up with the word.
Okay. Well, I would explain that right there is part of the oppression, the marginalization that's happening, right? So we don't have a slur or like a word like rooted in like hate, I guess, like other than like maybe breeders. I guess I've heard of like gay people referring to like heterosexual people as like breeders, but yeah, I think that we can easily think of a lot of like hurtful words for gay people, gay men, gay women.
I mean, I can think of hurtful words for everybody. It's just if you consider
like
yourself
specifically about like their like sexual orientation. Hold on. Astronova says guest attempts to mask his inadequacies by demeaning others. He's a fragile idolater of a false prophet. Buck up, Peanut. Thank you, Astra. By the way, it's so good to see you, Astra.
Wow, look at that. They insulted me. I'm so oppressed. It's just like I don't know. I'm a Christian male. I'm a Christian male, and a lot of people want to insult the sky
I don't
daddy.
Think you're oppressed at all. I don't think like there's any way that you are like in any like oppressed.
I'm not claiming to be oppressed.
You just said that you were oppressed.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, like Chad. Did he just not say like I'm being oppressed right now?
No, I didn't say anything of the sort.
Okay, so
yeah, I don't understand why I would have to support LGBTQ community. I don't know why I would have to do that. Why would I need to support some and to say that you're oppressed? You guys have an entire month. You have a Pride Month for you. So I think your time for saying that you're oppressed has been long and gone.
So like
why do you need
if we ever get to a point in time?
Do we have a heterosexual month?
That's like every day of like the year, right? Like we live in a like normative society is what I'm saying. Like little kids that have possibly not heteronormative uh, traits are growing up in a society that makes them think that they should hide those things because that's not proper, or that is a sin, or that is not what your parents want for you.
Maybe it's for the better.
Obviously, I would disagree.
Well, like I said, you struggle with the whole man and woman concept. I feel like it leads to confusion. I think you think that affirmation and saying that, oh, you could be anything that you want to be, whatever, that leads people. If people live in a society, we live in a society right now where people want to affirm delusion and make that normal whenever it's not reality. And whenever you look at things like
so like what is normal, right?
Since
Heteronormativity is what I'm saying. Like right now, what is considered normal is this heteronormative, lifestyle and everything. And I think that allowing people to just accept who they are and kind of like make their own journeys is good. So supporting them, along their way, not necessarily like punching down or like trying to send them over to like a conversion therapy or anything like that is good. I think that allowing them to figure things out is good.
What if they're confused, and then what if they get influenced in a way? And if you look at, I'm going to try and use words that are, I don't know what the guidelines are on TikTok. I know I would probably definitely get banned. So out of respect, I'm going to try and use words that probably wouldn't get you in trouble. Why do you think that there's such a disproportionate self-deletion rate among the LGBTQ community? Why does it seem like they struggle a lot more with that?
I think that they are struggling because people are unwilling to accept them, and they are dealing with that.
Have you ever experienced any prejudice being a homosexual man?
Yeah, all the time.
Like where?
On TikTok, for instance, on the internet, all the time.
Okay, well, that's the internet. What about in real
people
life?
saying like, "Oh, gross," and like for instance, or like saying like, as long as you guys don't, like shove it down my throat, or like don't kiss in front of me or anything like that. Like, I wouldn't want like heterosexual people like making out in front of me either, So, like, why do we have to make it only about gay people kissing or something? Like, just like why is that something that people feel like the need to say?
And this can go both ways, no pun intended. But this could go both ways. If you are you're
not a bad looking guy, by the way, Lupin. You
makes me
you could probably get a guy pretty quick.
Well, they tend to be very promiscuous in nature, so I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off because
I can't take a compliment.
No, I appreciate it, but I don't think that is a very that's not a high marker. Grinder is a it's a sex app for hooking. It's hookup culture. It's not to meet a partner. It's for lustful sexual acts.
I would say it's maybe a little bit of both.
Would you say that?
I met my partner on an app similar. I don't know if it was Grindr, but it was a similar app.
So let me see. And USA is not a Christian country.
We've been together for 8 years, by the way. This July.
That's you. That's
hey, Bowie.
Congratulations. I'm
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I'm not here to oppress you, but I don't agree with that. I think whenever you participate in homosexual acts, but like I said, it could go both ways. If you're a lustful person or a sexually promiscuous person, that you put yourself at risk for diseases, extra
Sure.
diseases. And if you're homosexual, you put yourself at even higher risk of diseases that are,
Yeah, so
you know,
maybe like helping educate and like promoting safe sex and like preparation techniques. Booey. Going both ways is called bisexuality, actually. I agree.
yeah, I know it was a
Yeah,
cheap joke.
yeah. No, I don't think Bowie caught when you said pun intended earlier. But yeah, so like, educating is I think the way through that. Like instead of just trying to stigmatize people, or like, like say like, oh, if you're gay, you're like a whore or something. That's just weird.
Okay. What about something like Drag Queen Story Hour? And do you think that children should be exposed to that?
I think that children are more than capable of seeing a person dressed up like jubilantly or like in a crazy costume reading a book.
Would you not say that drag dressing in drag is overtly sexual?
No, I mean, like I don't think, no, I would say it's not overtly sexual.
Do you think that it has a sexual connotation to it at all?
I mean, like I think that like sex has got to be like some sort of like part of the discussion, but I would say that like uh trying to sexualize it is weird. If they're not like wearing a thong, like if they're wearing like a full on like princess dress or something and they're reading a book about Cinderella, I really don't see the problem.
Why would you need to expose children to that or want to?
I mean, does it, because the drag queens are just, like trying to read a book to kids, and parents are not always, having the energy to read a book to a kid.
So
I don't know.
why introduce something as confusing that does it obviously has a sexual nature to it? Why even introduce that and bring that into a child's purview whenever their minds are so
what's
malleable
what's
and can be
what's sexual
confused?
about it?
uh you could look at the costumes, look at the outfits that they wear, and the fact that a man is pretending to be a woman. It's
Like
that is
that's
there's
been a
a
thing
sexual
for like
nature to it,
hundreds and hundreds of years.
and
That even
it has
like
a
powder
sexual
puff
nature.
football, where
It's
the cheerleaders used to play football, and then the football players would dress as cheerleaders. That was like an American, like pastime. Still is, I believe.
and how'd that go? Does that still exist? I don't know what
Yeah,
that is.
I think
I
that
don't pay
it's,
attention
in
to.
fact, it's like celebrated.
So I
So
don't think you've demonstrated why it should be woke. I still don't even understand what that means.
just being
Why should it
aware,
be woke?
uh, not shutting yourself off to truth. So, like, for instance, like what I mentioned earlier about how people of color are treated differently in healthcare scenarios compared to like white people. Uh,
White people get treated differently as well.
no, like it's a proven fact. Thank you, by the way. Uh, it's a proven fact that people of color are like treated much less positively than white people. Like we have
Could
multiple
that be
studies
because
over this.
could that be because the country is majority Caucasian?
By the
So
way,
there's a
Ellis Williams and Jack, you guys can join in on the conversation at any point in time if you want.
Am I
You just
in
gotta,
the right way?
you're in.
Oh,
You
okay.
just gotta let me know your age just real quick, and then you can talk.
I'm 28.
All right, and then Jack, if you want to talk, you can just unmute yourself.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I didn't know if that was even on correctly because it was like
you're on.
TikTok and a tiny URL. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead, Lupin.
So Lupin, we just have studies over this, and like white people are treated much more positively. There's an implicit bias that goes on. That means that it's not anybody's fault, right? Like other than like it's just systemically something that happens.
What about during affirmative action where companies were encouraged to hire people of color?
Affirmative
They were going by
action
gender.
is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like people in getting health care.
So there's been plenty of people of color with healthcare.
Yeah, I'm saying that the implicit bias of healthcare providers is usually much more negative than it is for for white people.
It's more negative for white people.
Yeah, so like there's just like implicit things that were once taught in medical school, like things that are like, you know, pain tolerances. You know, a lot of people were even taught at one time, like people of color have like some sort of like thicker skin or something, and that you know, like muscular, like they're able to build muscle quicker, and therefore, you know, they might not need as much of a tender care, or you know, like like closer care. You can look these things up. Like I just had that study up earlier that just says that, you know, people of color are treated much like more negatively than people that are white.
It says that they show no
And just being woke is like being aware of things like this.
It says they show no significant differences, but it says no significant differences. So there is some difference.
Like biologically?
Yeah, between
yeah,
black
but I would say that those sure. I mean, yeah, like even between people, like there's differences, right? So like what's the fucking point? Like I think that they should still be given the, you know, proper care, that you shouldn't just assume that they can take it or something because they're black.
But they do get proper care. Now they have to pay into a system. Whether they have insurance or not is going to play a big factor in it. But they, you know, doctors still operate under a Hippocratic oath, and we have actually seen a large uptick in nurses and doctors who have been openly, and they've been getting fired as well, rightfully so, that said if they had a person who supported MAGA, that they would not treat them. So you could say anybody could be discriminated based on their belief.
An implicit bias, and that's more of an explicit bias. Like I'm saying that there's systemic things. Like these people, like I don't think the doctors are racist or anything. Like overtly. Yeah.
Like the way he's describing it, like I'm black, and like I can say this is not something I've ever experienced, but I also haven't been to the hospital a whole lot, and I'm very young. I'm only 28, so a lot of these things, you know, probably happened to more like my grandparents or maybe my parents. But you know, like I've never experienced or been to the hospital and been like, oh wow, that white person got treated way better than me. But I do understand, like when you're more comfortable around, you're going to be more comfortable around people that are more like you. Like if I'm around people that are in my same faith, I'm just going to be more comfortable because I'm just more at home, right?
Is there an echo, Chad? Are you hearing an echo? Sorry, I was not aware that TikTok was getting an echo, if that's the case.
Oh, you're good. Should I just X out of TikTok? Is it echoing me?
No, hold on. I'm just trying to think of a way that I can get, since I don't have any guests on TikTok, what I'm going to do is just silence this. Sorry, TikTok. Did not realize there was an echo.
One of my commenters asked, what about the required amount of white people in basketball? Do you think that there's a disproportionate amount of black people in basketball than there is white people?
No, I mean that's not really the question though. Like I was just
again that if we go by benchmarks, like this is something that is a moot point.
So are they oppressed?
Are they oppressed?
Yeah,
because they can't. Because there's more black people in the NBA.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, like they could consider themselves a minority in that specific sentence, or like that specific scenario. Sure.
So where's the discrimination there?
I don't know if there
I
is a
would
discrimination
say
there.
white people get discriminated probably a little bit more.
In fact, like I think the discrimination might be shown in the fact that like black people are looked at as like professional sports,
athletic
like
specimens.
that's their only future or something. You know, like I think that would be more of the discrimination.
Or is it just a fact of life?
No, I think that we need to stop like framing things like this.
But if we go by benchmarks and they just do higher, it's no longer about discrimination. It's just about facts.
Right. That's why I think we should go by those things, and we don't right now.
Obviously we do, because then there would be more white people in basketball.
It will. You're saying that there's apparently, does the NBA or something has to have like so many white people on a team or something? Is there like some sort of rule? I'm not a big NBA person, so I don't know if this is true.
Well, it goes by talent, and generally, black people have they have certain traits. They have. Do you think that people have certain
that
traits?
There's no specific quota for like white players or players of any race.
Do you think that that what is the average height of black men? Let me see that.
Lupin, real quick, just do you know the difference between equality and equity?
You tell me.
Okay, so like one person has $3 and another person has $300,000, and they each get $300. Is that equality or is that equity?
I don't know.
That's equality. They both got the same thing, right? They both got $300, except one person now has a total of 301, and the other person has a total of $300,300. Yeah. That is, they equally got the same thing, but they're still not equal in what they have, right? So the idea behind a lot of affirmative action plans and things like that is like, yeah, equally giving opportunities would be great, but we were in a situation where, from years of slavery and history of things like that, if you had darker skin, you were denied all of these opportunities. So you started off with less. So affirmative action is to give equity, to say, hey, this person that has 300,000, if we're trying to get everyone to 500,000, then I'm going to give the person with 300,000 200,000, and this person with $1 is going to get $499 and $999. So then they'll both be at 500,000.
But is that the right way to go?
That's a very well put way to explain that.
To hire somebody based off of their skin color or gender, because maybe they have experience, or in the past have had prejudice against them, that we should overlook their qualifications.
Yeah, that's not really what happens. It
is what happens.
Okay, so if I walk into United Airlines and I say, hey, I'm black, I'd like to become a pilot, are they going to hire me to be a pilot?
They may under affirmative action.
Oh, wait. I have never been to pilot school. I don't even know what the thing that makes the plane go is called.
So
I will not be hired because I'm not qualified.
So you have to say, look, if you were a qualified black man and you were a qualified white man, if you would have an advantage just by your race, if you were both equally qualified under affirmative action.
Yeah, no, this is what affirmative action says.
If you're average Joe Blow that doesn't know how to operate a plane, then yeah, the chances of you not getting the job is fine. But if you are having an advantage strictly by race, or there's just there's an underrepresentation of a certain race or a certain gender, then
there's no quotas anymore. Lupin, I think you assume that
because Trump got away.
No,
Trump got rid of it.
There's been no quotas like in
there had
in any kind of
Do you know
since
any?
like
Do you know any?
legally
Do you know any
for
people
since
that
like the
run
70s.
management? Do you know anybody that's in HR personally?
Me?
What is
Yeah,
that?
Yeah.
I know plenty of people in
I have
HR.
a,
I have a master's in public administration, so
okay,
like HR is
okay. Do
something
you
that
know
I deal with
anybody
quite a
who's in
bit.
charge of a hiring process?
Yeah, I've personally been in charge of hiring before.
Okay, I have a few friends that are in those positions, and they were given incentives to hire people based on either their gender or their
Yeah,
ethnicity.
the way that
Yeah, again,
like a business wants to do something and like what the country is saying like legally you have to do, those are two different things, right? So
yeah. The way
we
affirmative
haven't.
action works
Yeah,
is if you have two equally qualified candidates,
I
equally
think we're talking
qualified, so they
about
both went to pilot
DEI
school.
by the way. Affirmative
Right. I don't know if it's
action
DEI or affirmative action, but they kind
is
of get
is
lumped
not
in the
really a.
same boat.
Yeah,
But
well,
if
like
you
affirmative
have
action was a little bit different, like college
right,
entrance acceptances and stuff like that. And there was like a quota back in like the 70s or 90s, but there hasn't been like any kind of quotas like that for a long time.
right, right, you have two equally
Yes, there
qualified
has.
candidates,
Delta
and what?
Airlines 4 years ago.
Right. So the way affirmative or DEI, whatever you want to call it, the way it works is like if you
Delta
have two
Airlines.
equally qualified.
Yeah, hold on.
Just to find out the exact definition.
Yeah, while you're looking up that definition, Delta Airlines is not a government organization. They're a private business, and they had like a subsidiary that had like one manager that was trying to make a quota, right? And they dealt with it.
Can
Okay,
you
yeah,
can
but
you
if
tell
you
me
don't
what
have an
DEI
issue with
stands
that and you're
for?
only
Okay, we got
talking
to
about
talk
government
one at
sort
a
of
time.
institutions, sorry, if you're only referring to government institutions and you're not referring to like privately owned businesses on that level of discriminatory practices, then would you have no argument against like a deep south mom and pop diner not serving anyone except white people?
Who are you
Because
asking?
isn't that the same thing?
I think that there are protected classes, and like the Civil Rights Act of 1964 like ended that. So like if you are trying to discriminate over, and I don't even know if like that's necessarily like that's just a precedent that's set. So like yeah, they technically could say like
Yeah,
whites
but
only.
Delta broke the precedent, though. I mean, you're arguing the
No,
opposite
Delta had
sides
like
of the
a
coin.
subsidiary, I believe that had like one like person that had a quota, right? It wasn't like Delta as a corporation was
Right.
setting a quota.
And again, the difference is like honestly, right now, if a business decided we want to go whites only in how we're serving, they could do that because they would just lose customers because there's lots of other options where we could go eat, right? But the reason
yeah.
why it got outlawed is because since everybody was saying whites only, everybody, the option if you weren't white was you just don't eat or you don't get a chance to go out to a restaurant. So that's why they had to ban it so they could get to a point and now where, yeah, if you don't want to serve me, okay, that's fine. I'll take my business elsewhere. But it's like the reason why it even got to the point where I could just simply choose to take my business is because it was banned in the first place.
Let me see.
Yeah,
like,
my argumentation is that DEI is doing the exact same thing,
Yes.
just on the flip side.
But that's not
like
how
in reverse,
the way
and
DEI
both
works
of
is
them
if
are wrong.
you have two equally qualified candidates and then one is white and one is black, and you say, well, we already have 500 white guys, so maybe let's hire the black guy this time. That's how it works. It does not say, hey, this black guy isn't
Yeah, and
qualified.
I'm saying the white guy and the black guy are equally hungry, but the mom and pop diner doesn't want to serve the black guy just because he's black.
I would say
even
that
though they're
is
equally hungry.
The way I'm looking this up, the Civil Rights Act would say it is illegal for
It's
a
the same
business
argument.
that's serving the public to discriminate against any kind of customers based on race, color, religion, or sex or national origin. So like, I think that they would be looking at a lawsuit if they discriminated for that purpose.
You can't discriminate against a race, but can
also,
you tell
like
me what
DEI is not discrimination.
Well, no,
DEI is just simply giving.
Actually, DEI is 100% discrimination.
Okay. Let me learn you guys a little bit of something here. All right. DEI is helpful to people in rural areas. It's not necessarily just about people of color, right? It is not necessarily just about sex. It is also
Oh, yeah, for
about
sure. I get
its
it.
access to things. So, like for instance, the grant that I work with had a DEI component to it. Luckily, Doge didn't try to like scrap it because a lot of people in rural areas get very necessary healthcare because of it. But yeah, rural and underserved refers to people in just like rural areas, which a lot of the times are just, you know, like farmers, you know, in the Midwest that are actually white people. So DEI is
And
not, you know,
maybe
like
the racist
discriminatory.
diner I
It's
gave
just
was a bad
about
example.
it's just about giving access
Right.
that is equal and
I can
equitable
give
and
you
inclusive. So like
Well,
whether or
I
not
can give you an
it,
example of where
if
DEI actually hurt minorities as well, if you want me to give you that on a
sure.
systemic level.
I mean,
Well,
like
could we
you'd have
just
to
like
you'd have to break this down to like where I would need to like see like exactly the it's systemic level of this type of
Oh yeah, I got you.
discrimination. Sure.
And again, the only reason
More
why
academically qualified Asians were denied access into Ivy League schools over underqualified Black people and Latino people
That's true. It is
simply
DEIA,
because that
Mark.
they were Asian.
now
That's
again,
systemic oppression on the basis
well
of DEI.
it's
if
like
now
the
it's
you
like
say
problem is that
under
And the Asian
institutions
DEI
students
is
were academically
DEI.
more qualified to be there and had better grades.
okay,
Yeah.
again,
They were
academically
still
more
turned down
qualified
over Black
or
people and Latinos.
Isn't
right,
it
okay.
interesting that DEI is like a solution to, you know, for equality, but at the same time, it also puts a divide. It's like a solution for racism by using racism to solve racism. You know,
What are you talking about, dude? I
No,
think
well,
you guys
again,
are you
you're
guys are like straw manning what DEI is.
right.
You
No,
guys,
no, that's
no,
not a
I'm
straw
not.
man.
it's
Talking
just
about exactly the
DEI
practices that
is
DEI
there's no
has implemented into
quotas.
the systems of America is
All
not
right, all
straw
right.
manning it.
Okay,
Everybody,
so in your specific example, can you tell me, because you're saying that they were not qualified for this university because there was someone else who maybe was more qualified, but that's not what
Yes.
unqualified means. Like there's a
I
standard
never
that you
said
have to hit. Like for
unqualified. I
example,
said
you have to have
underqualified
right.
comparatively to the
So
overqualified Asian students.
so that's not unqualified. That's not as qualified. Because if you have
That's
the 4.5
exactly what I
GPA,
said.
you said they were unqualified.
No, I didn't. I said they were underqualified comparatively to the overqualified Asian students. You're straw manning me.
Am I the only one that heard unqualified? Because I heard you specifically say they were unqualified.
I
said
actually everybody was
under.
talking at the same time, so I didn't
I
really get
heard
to hear
under.
the like example.
Then
So
maybe
can
I
you-
misheard
Well,
you.
no, hold on. Like, can maybe Clay? Can you say the example again?
Yeah. So the example for DEI causing systemic injustices based on race would be in the effect of Asians trying to get into Ivy League colleges. Even when the Asian students overperform, have better academic scores, better ACT scores, better GPA,
Mhm.
they are denied access into Ivy League schools in preference to Black and Latino students who have worse grades, worse ACT scores, simply
Okay, when was this
on the
happening?
basis of race because
When
they're
when was
needing
this
to fill a
happening?
quota.
And is it still happening?
Oh, the entire time that affirmative action was going on. I
Okay,
mean, that's
so
just factual. You can
that's
look it up.
Can you
I
give
don't
me
think
a
that.
specific
Yeah,
example of
just
an Asian
right.
person's
When-
qualifications
when-
who was denied compared to a Black or Latino person who was accepted?
Yeah, are you talking about like shit that happened in the 70s that hasn't happened since the 70s?
No,
Or
I'm
like
talking
shit
about
that
stuff that was
stopped
happening
in the 90s.
2010s
Like,
and 2020s.
Can you give
Okay.
me?
Can you just
any
give an
kind of
example? Yeah.
Example, yeah.
Compare the Asian person's qualifications to the Black or Latino's person qualifications and show that the Asian person was rejected and the Black person was accepted.
Again, this is just a quick Google search. There's no example that I need to provide on a person-to-person basis.
You said
you can just Google.
Now you did
for
say that
yourself
you
and
could
look
give
it
an
up.
example of systemic, like.
Right, but if it's that easy to
systemically,
look
And
that
I gave you
DEI
the
was
example, and now you
was
want it on a person-to-person
hurting marginalized
basis.
people.
And can I just go by your points one at a time, and then I'll go ahead and bow out real quick, and just tell you my thoughts on it and why they're all wrong, or
Okay, sure.
possibly subjective. You should be woke. I think that being woke in the sense that you think will lead you to issues where you think that a man who thinks that they're a woman can go into a woman's restroom, that a man can participate in women's sports, that it leaves it's a fantasy land, and
I
it doesn't.
don't think that men are going into women's restrooms, like other than people that are like with bad intents, you know. Like, so I think that trans women can go to women's restrooms, or in like use women's restrooms. I think that people aren't.
A swimmer who went into
I don't think
women's
like people
restroom
aren't
that-
going through. I don't think people are going through like hormone replacement therapy so they can go abuse somebody in a restroom or like a child in a restroom.
Again,
if they're gonna abuse somebody, they're just gonna fucking do it.
You can't even define what woke is. You can't tell me when somebody begins to be trans. You know, if a person just thinks that they're a woman, you know, do I have to accept that person as a woman just because they have a delusion that they think they're a woman? No, I don't have to do that. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to affirm that delusion because it can lead to innate danger. And it's not reality.
I think that you're creating a boogeyman out of trans people.
I'm
because
not.
Can you give me any example of like I know of one where like a trans person is using like this method to abuse like women or children?
There's been multiple cases of that.
I would say that there's also multiple cases of just like people abusing like women and children, and like they're not trying to go through like hormone replacement therapy or like gender affirming care just so they can go abuse somebody in a bathroom.
But
I think that's fucking silly.
Being woke enables that even more. It gives it almost like a justification. It gives it a reason. And it at the end of the day, it doesn't lead you to logical thought. Like I said, if you put a man and a woman who are both equally trained, the man is going to be physically stronger than that woman, even if they weigh the same, if they're doing the same amount.
That's naive. That is completely naive.
They have higher bone density, and they are physically stronger. It's literal biology, brother. It's literally biology, okay? And then also, supporting LGBT is good. What does that even mean? Like, why should I support LGBT? There's no reason for me to support it. There's nothing.
Can I ask you a question? Lupin, can I ask you a question, Christian to Christian?
Sure.
Do you think supporting Christianity is good?
Do I think supporting Christianity is good? Yeah.
Yes. Then that's what the host means. The host is a member of that community. So he's saying supporting my community is good. We're members of the Christian community. Sure. We think supporting our community is good. I'm not saying the host needs to support the Christian community, and he's not saying that you absolutely have to support the LGBTQ community. But if someone chooses to support your community, you're going to say that's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think the LGBT community is something that's good for society. I think it's damaging.
Okay, you can think that, and I would disagree.
It's perversive. It's pervasive. They tend to take it too far. They have these pride parades that often get put in front of children.
And I could say that I think Christianity promotes magical thinking that allows people to think that they can pray.
Lupin, here's the thing that I always hate.
It promotes things like drag queen story hour. It promotes things like confusion. It's not reality, and it's not healthy thinking. And
struggling to find why drag queen story hour is like a problem.
Because Lupin, whenever you expose a child to something that's overtly sexual, then that is manipulating a child's brain, and I think that's evil.
Are you okay with parents taking their kids? Hold on, Ellis. Are you okay with parents taking their kids to like Hooters?
That's a parent's discretion, but
then why the fuck can't the parents take their kids to fucking drag time story hour?
I don't think
I would say that it's much more overtly sexual to take them to Hooters.
I don't know.
I would never take my kids to Hooters.
Sexual, but I think Pride Parade is overtly sexual.
Yeah.
Right.
Bye, Lupin. Sorry, I had to hang up on Lupin. Lupin was being ridiculous.
I was trying to come to him from another angle. I wasn't even planning on like defending DEI over here because I'm not a woke person. I just was hearing such a fallacious argument, and I couldn't just not say. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know if the other guy had more points that he wanted to say.
Clay. So foundationally, what I mean is foundationally, yeah. Fundamentally, I would say that the USA might be Christian, like in the fact that like Pilgrims and Puritans were certainly a part of, the formation of America, right? But what I mean by this is that like legally, like constitutionally, federally, we're not a Christian country.
Yeah, that's true, but the moral ethical framework of Christianity is baked into all of our laws.
Now, I think that's debatable
from a fundamental standpoint.
For instance,
all men are created equal.
Why
in the Constitution?
Why in the Treaty of Tripoli in 1796 did John Adams, a Jeffersonian Republican, why did he and the rest of the Senate sign off on the Treaty of Tripoli that said in Article 11 that the formation of America was not on any Christian, like it's not Christian in any sense. So like the laws are not Christian based. And I can pull that up for you.
Yeah,
not to mention the moral framework that Christianity uses, like all of that is subjective because you could look at the US government and say that the Constitution gives Congress the power to declare war. Well, there's lots of scriptures in the Bible that say that Christians should be against war. And in the same way, the Supreme Court also ruled that, like, if you're a Christian who believes that gay marriage is not accepted in the Bible, the Constitution, the Supreme Court ruled that that's fine based upon the government's standards. So I can't really say that the U.S.'s laws are even based on Christianity when you could probably, you could easily point out a lot that seem to directly go against what a lot of Christians maintain from the Bible.
So
right, but the claim is that the laws were made under a moral framework that is Christianity, not secularism, not Islam. It was a Christian moral framework that is, I would concede, being taken over by secularism. Right, I would agree we're not necessarily a Christian country.
Okay,
but that's
why
because
is it
and that was the whole basis of
one of the founding fathers in the Senate like signed off? Do you see this Article 11? And I'll kind of scroll it by. So it says, as the government of the United States is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion, as it has in itself no character of enmity against the laws, religion, or tranquility. And this, they're talking about Muslims because they're actually dealing, like in the Treaty of Tripoli, this is about it, like a partnership with the Barbary Coast, which at the time was run by Muslims. But they're just saying right here in this article that the foundations of America are not in any sense founded on the Christian religion. So like I would consider that like laws, the morality, all of that. I wish that they would go into more detail on that, but
well, could we just finish that Article 11 or whatever that was? Could we finish that?
Sure.
Because it continued on to something about wars and
yeah.
So religion or tranquility of the Muslim, and as the United States never have entered into any war or act of hostility against the Mahometan nation is declared by the parties that no pretext arising from religious opinion shall ever produce an interruption of the harmony existing between the two countries. But just as a precursor, this is something that was stated, read, communicated to the lawmakers of the time, founding fathers. John Adams was president at the time, put his signature on it, along with the Senate. If they disagreed, they could have struck it from this treaty. But I would say that this is a precedent that was set. And
correct. Right. Well,
the precedent that's being set seems to be saying that he's just saying that America is not a theocracy. It's not a Christian theocracy.
Right.
Is what that seems to be saying to me.
Or founded on any kind of Christian
that-
in any sense. It's not founded on Christianity in any sense.
Right, but that's a rhetorical point he was making. Like, you can't take that one quote from the president at the time to say
This is not a quote. This is something that was written down on,
okay, like right. But I mean, in the sense of to take one sentence from one article that was written by the
beyond
standing
that,
political
we have the
party.
Establishment Clause, right? So like no religion is
right. But hang on just a second. The premise is that America was founded on a religious Christian moral structure, right?
Right. Okay. So can you show me in the Bible any verses that say like go to foreign lands, colonize them, set up a government structure, revolt against the ruling government, like what USA is.
I wouldn't have to provide that to you. Is there anything in the Bible that says I can't or shouldn't do that? Right? There's a lot.
Yes.
The Bible is a governing structure. It isn't a rule book. Right? So for you to tell me where in the Bible does it say I can do this one thing?
You shouldn't do that.
The first 5 books are
where does the Bible say you shouldn't do that exact thing?
Jesus told when Peter cut off the high priest's ear, Jesus told him, put your sword away, for those who take up the sword shall perish by the sword. Isaiah 9:6, I believe, says, neither will they learn war anymore. They will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning shears. And Revelation from 15, I can't think of the exact verse. But there's another scripture that says, do not avenge yourselves, beloved, for vengeance is but yield place to the wrath, for vengeance is mine, I will repay, says God.
Right, so are you a Christian? Just to
Ellis is.
I am, yeah. And I don't even think that like I came up here to talk about, whether or not people should be woke, because I don't even think that you should be woke. Like, I don't think that's something you have to do. I think if you want to, whatever. I mean, that's cool.
What does it mean to be woke?
I just ended up talking about all this other stuff because all these other arguments came up that aren't really true. But I would agree.
Yeah, there's like a million people in the chat, and I started coming in when Lupin was talking about the stuff he was talking about. Man, there's a lot of different ways this conversation could go.
Sure,
to
but
be
again,
fair, is it getting lost on everybody that the Constitution states all men are created equal as a direct interpretation of the Bible, quoting, love your neighbor as you love thyself? And that's just a direct interpretation baked right into the Constitution from the Christian moral ethical framework of how you should treat other people.
Where it says from your creator, it does not say Yahweh established in the second book of the Torah that you should love thy neighbor, right?
You're right.
Which
says that
actually,
in the New
did
Testament,
I just accurately?
So be in the Torah.
That was Exodus, right? Yeah. Okay. So I don't understand. Like all men are created equal is they're saying that like we are given inalienable rights, which is a Thomas Paine
by whom
quote actually
our creator,
which would infer God,
not a Christian God.
Yeah, that would only infer that America is a nation that believes we have rights because of God, not because of a Christian God.
Yeah, but you wouldn't find that morality in any other God at that period of time other than the Christian God.
I don't know. There could have been
that's a direct interpretation.
Not necessarily.
Of Christianity. Give me any other religion that believes that all people are created equal other than Christianity at that time period.
Pretty sure Buddhism does. Pretty sure Hinduism does. I don't know if Greek mythology or even Roman or like Norse mythology, but I don't think there's anything that explicitly teaches that people aren't equal.
All right, Samuel, you're out.
The idea that everybody is equal under the eyes of God was, and still to this day is a purely Christian ideology. Every other religion believes that if you are not of that religion, you are further away from God than all the people that are of that religion.
I would say
that
strictly
goes for Buddhism,
that
Hinduism, Muslim, it goes for everything other than Christianity.
I would say
Christianity teaches that we are all equal to God, whether you believe in him or not.
Exactly.
Not at all. No. What?
See, I just had one
We're
person
all
say yes
equal
and
to
one person
God.
say no. No, equal to each other, whether you believe in God or
Okay,
not.
you said equal to God.
No, I said equal. That's
Equal
pretty
to
sure I
each
said equal
other.
to each
Okay,
other.
it's my
I
bad.
meant
I didn't
equal
hear
to each other. Right. Sorry. So Christianity.
Right.
So if everyone's equal, then whether you believe in God or not, we all have the same outcome. That's what Christianity
No.
teaches.
That's not a logical conclusion to
No.
the first. Like,
But you just
just
said
because we're
teaches that we're
created
equal.
equal doesn't mean we have the same conclusion.
Yeah, those
We
premises
have the
don't
same.
align with each other.
So it's not that
I
Christianity
would say
teaches that
that
everyone ends up being equal, it's that everyone
incongruency.
starts out equal and
I
is
would say
created
Peter,
equal.
Right.
or not Peter. Well, Peter
Right.
and Paul would probably say that it's based off faith. Where like James and others would say that it's based off acts. So it's kind of a conflicting thing, and it's open to interpretation. Another reason why Christianity does not have any kind of objective morality. So like to even claim Christian morality is stupid.
And I would even say that even if they believe that, they didn't actually practice that because they had slavery, which is inherently treating people not equal.
Well, I would argue that being okay with slavery is Christian.
Are you okay with people having jobs? Because that's not an equal opportunity. That's not an equal platform. If you have a boss, he's above you. Is that okay
second, Brett.
by your moral standard?
Sure, no one's arguing against that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to whitewash slavery. I'm talking about chattel slavery, treating people as property. It's straight in the Bible. Like,
no,
it's in Leviticus.
My point is, he started talking about how
44 through
Christianity.
46. It describes that you can go to your nations and you can acquire men and women, and they may be your property. And that by designing them as property or giving them that designation, right there is what I'm describing as chattel slavery. That is not a job. That is now dehumanizing them.
Was that from?
That's Leviticus chapter 25.
Okay, so it's
verses
Levitical
44
law,
through
which
46.
is purely Jewish law
Amen.
and has nothing to do with Christian morality.
Okay, so then like anything in Leviticus is not applicable to the Christian religion. Is that what you're saying?
No, because
even though
that's
Jesus says that in
Levitical
Matthew
law.
chapter 5, Jesus says that not one dot or tittle shall be changed from the Levitical law.
That's not what Jesus says.
Yeah,
he says
He
from
said,
all
I
that is written.
I came not to abolish the law, but or the prophets, but to fulfill them. And he said that not one dot or tittle shall be changed from the law until the heavens and earth unalive.
Yeah,
Correct.
he's specifically referring to prophecies about the Messiah, not actual Levitical
He's
law.
referring to both books of the Torah and of the prophets, right? The Nevi'im. So Jesus was a Jew. You guys know this, right?
Yes.
100%.
Okay, so there was two books at the time.
Best Jewish man who ever lived.
There was two books at the time. That's how they considered the Hebrew Bible. Okay,
but
one was the
Torah.
The other was the Nevi'im or the prophets, and that is what Jesus is referring to in Matthew chapter 5, and that those laws in the Torah are not to be changed until the heavens and earth die.
Well, if that's
so I'm not sure who the other caller's name is. I have a different
when he made the new covenant and disavowed Levitical law.
That's not a me problem. That's a you problem, buddy.
Not in reference.
Well, Jesus didn't disavow the Levitical law. Jesus fulfilled the Levitical law, which is different. And so I'm not sure what the host's name is, but you asked for earlier, where in the Bible does it say you can go into another country and basically, take it over and fight your government and leave? Well, that sounds like a pretty, declaratively like warlike statement. It's like, hey, if you're going to do war, do it this way. If you're going to take a slave this way.
It says
right, and so in all of
so there's a distinction made in chapter 25 in Leviticus, right? So whoever was trying to say that like having a job is akin to slavery, what I think they were trying
that's actually not what I was trying to say.
What you were trying to refer to is probably like indentured servitude, or like what the Hebrew people of the time were being treated, and like that is
No,
found
no, actually, that's
in
not at all what I
earlier
was
on
trying to
in
say. But
Leviticus. But what I'm speaking of is the non-Hebrew Gentiles of the nations around them. They may be acquired. They may also be acquired by the sojourners who live amongst them. Here, I can actually let me see if I can Leviticus 25.
right. So
Let's
while
do
you're doing that, the
41
point I was
through
trying to make earlier
46.
is one of the other callers said something about if all men are created equal, then the Bible says that you can have slaves, and that's inherently unequal. Therefore, the Bible's immoral. And all I said is that if you believe just because there's a difference of equality in, and that's why I brought up the jobs, because yeah, they're in different stations. Like that's what the Bible, and largely when the Bible talks about slavery, it's different, like social classes. There's different, like for example, in this example, like fugitives of war, right? People who have nothing. You're
No,
not supposed
these
to.
aren't fugitives of
There's a
war.
way you're supposed to.
These are just simply that
In
you
the
can go and buy non-Hebrews. See, it's right here above me. It says, "As for the male and female slaves whom you may have, it is from the nations around you that you may acquire the male and female slaves. You may also acquire them from amongst the aliens residing with you, and from their families who are with you, who have been born in your land. They may be your property," that is a very important thing, right? So that is where like part of the chattel, like part of the slavery comes into being. When you stop treating them like other humans or men or women, you are now treating them the same as you would garbage or property. You would just throw it out, or you could give it to your children, which actually, if you keep reading, it says you may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as property. These you may treat as slaves, but as your fellow Israelites, here's the designation that is made just for the Israelites, no one shall rule over the other with harshness. So they are saying that you can rule over these people that are in nations around you that you acquired or from aliens amongst you.
How would they
and this isn't
acquire
about
them?
War. These are people that are purchased. These are people that are
No,
maybe
it doesn't
given
say that
within
anywhere. You
deals.
just made that up.
It just
Purchase.
says
You just made that up. It doesn't say
you
that.
may have, you may acquire, you may what I'm saying is that acquire
Correct.
is not like
you made up the
designating
purchase thing.
war slaves. Acquire, so
right,
acquire
but
could
that
acquire
makes more sense
encompass
because there's no transaction happening.
Okay,
they're
so
acquired, right?
With property exchange. Would you say that is like a purchase, like say like you traded property?
Yeah, sure, I could say that, but that's not what
so
this
like a
verse is
transaction
talking about.
But
okay, if I bought something from you, I acquired
the
it,
slaves as
but
property.
that is not the word that's used. That's not. It doesn't say. Okay, who are they buying them from? The other people.
The
nations other nations are selling their
non-Israelites.
The other nations are selling their people to Israel.
Apparently,
in this verse.
Apparently,
I mean, but what the point I'm trying to make is you're kind of making that up to prove the chattel slavery.
I'm just reading what's literally this is from the
no,
NRSV, the updated edition.
Thing.
Purchase I'm just saying acquire. Purchasing is part of the umbrella of acquire, right? So like trading, acquiring is not necessarily just war criminals. And to like, what is your point with that? Like, are you trying to say that they are protecting them because they're war criminals or like war booty? Because yeah, they do have mention about like like little girls that are virgins, of which they can take their spoils. So I would say that is also, something that Jesus said should be upheld.
Either way,
Are you saying Jesus said it should be upheld that little girls should be sold into slavery? Is that what you just said?
Yeah. So have you ever heard?
Okay, could you show
Samuel
me
15,
anywhere 3? Jesus said that?
Well, is Jesus God?
Amen,
in the
100%.
book of Jude, it says that all scripture, like if you are reading or like listening to God, that is me, and that is Jesus. So we can go ahead and just say, yeah, you think that Jesus is God of the Old Testament. Now, if you read 1 Samuel 15:3 above me here, it says, "Now go and attack Amalek and under." Oh, sorry, that's a different one. That's the baby killing one. Hold on. Let me see. It's Numbers 17. I think 31 through 33. Oh, what is it? Numbers 17:3, maybe?
Yeah, I wish I wasn't on my phone so I could actually
Damn
like
it.
look stuff up too. I'm just talking with you, man.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Numbers 17.
Because this is something like really close to my heart, you know, obviously because I'm Christian, but like
17 and 8. All right, Numbers 31, 17
Numbers
and 18. That's what it is. Hold on, let me pull it up here. No, it's not Numbers 17. It's Numbers 31, 17 and 18.
Numbers 31, 17.
All right, now therefore, kill every male amongst the little ones and kill every woman who has known a man by sleeping with him. But all the young girls who have not known a man by sleeping with him, keep alive for yourselves. This is still in like reference to like actually like war booty. So what's going on in Numbers at this time, I believe, was the destruction of Amalek.
Yeah, who issued that command, by the way?
God.
No,
Jesus.
that was Moses.
No, I'd say that was
the
God.
one issuing the command.
No, this is God. This is God talking.
No, it's not. Read the entire chapter. It's not. Because I literally had a debate with somebody like a month ago.
Maybe
about
this is Moses, but was Moses given authority by God?
Yeah, I mean, what would you say? Because verse 31 says, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, take vengeance on the Midianites for the children of Israel.
Okay, so yeah,
afterward,
this one is the Midianites,
you shall be
not
gathered
Amalek.
to your people.
Yeah, so he was commanded to take vengeance on that people group because of sexual immorality that they had devolved into as Israelites do.
I would call this
sexual
sexual
intermingling
immorality
with these people and becoming
I would say
immoral.
like checking little girls to see if they've ever slept with a man is sexually immoral.
Why?
And then
why is that
just
sexually
my
immoral?
personal that's just my personal
well, I'm
moral
actually
opinion.
It's not a gotcha. Like, why do you think that? Like, so who are these women? They're unmarried women, right? Because at the time,
little girls,
a young
girls,
woman who hadn't
young
okay,
girls.
it could be somebody as old as 40. Anybody who had not been
young
with a
girls.
man, right? They were unmarried, right? They were unmarried women. That's what the word means, right? That's generally, it's like saying a woman at childbearing age, right? Like, well, you can generally we know that to be from the ages of 18 to 35, but a 40-year-old can have a woman, right?
Young girls. So the Hebrew actually is. Let me see if I can find the Hebrew here real quick. Hebrew Old Testament. I have to open up a different software. Give me a second. Numbers 31, 17 through 18. Okay, let me see if I can pull that in my little window capture here. E-sword.
That's also true.
So
it's right there. H802. That's the one you want.
The H2945. H802.
You want to scroll down just a little
Every
bit.
woman that hath known a man by lying with him.
Toph. They're using Toph though. Little ones, children. All the
That's
women,
not what
children.
we're talking about. We're talking about the women.
So the Neshaim, the first form of the feminine, children, Toph.
Oh,
which
gotcha.
is
Verse
also
18.
Yeah, and also in 17, like the little ones. It's Toph.
Well, no, it's kill every male
it's
little
not
one,
showing you
and every woman that hath
here
known a man.
Toph. Oh shoot, Toph. It's referring to the tripping gait of little kids, like that's what they mean by the little ones. It means children, little children. Do you see?
In
Do you see this? Do you
verse
see what
18.
I'm saying? I'm pulling from Strong's concordance. and this is the KJV that it's pulling from. So yeah, Toph. It's H2952. Tough F. Primitive root. It means like clumsy, like a little mouse. Little ones, and little women. The children that are women, I guess. Like they mean little girls.
You keep dragging the word children into it when the word children isn't even translated over to it.
So what is up here, young girls, is what is like taken from the NRSV like version of it, right? And what I just showed you out of my eSword program is from the KJV. So it says, now therefore kill every male amongst the little ones, and kill every woman that has known a man or not known a man by lying with him, but all the women children that have not known a man by lying with him keep alive for yourselves. Now the Hebrew is right next to it, and the like Toph or Topheth is what they are referring to when they say like children.
Okay. I mean, I'll look into it more,
bro.
but for the sake of this argument, let's just say you're right, right? The Bible is saying little girls. And you're saying it's bad because you don't like it? Like, do you have another reason besides that?
I'm just saying that USA is not morally aligned with Christianity.
Well, these are
that's a really weak link.
Things that
like you're talking about something that happened. Like you're talking about the history of the Israelites and saying because that thing doesn't happen in America today, therefore we're not a Christian nation. That doesn't make sense.
I'm just saying that like the laws that you're referring to aren't like typically like just Christian, right? So like love thy neighbor as thyself. This idea of reciprocity, like to be reciprocating how we treat each other is an old ancient idea that predates Christianity by thousands of years.
That you seemingly can't find in any other world religion ever at that time period. But,
sorry, Brett. You can join in.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I had to like add you guys in. Sorry.
Okay.
Ellis, I think you might have dropped out.
That's blatantly false. Confucius said it 400 years before Jesus. And if you need to go look it up, go look it up. But
yeah,
guys,
that's right.
I know you like your religion, but like you gotta do more reading. There are plenty of morals around the world that human civilizations would not function with murder. That's a historical fact, regardless of who's in charge for what type of government they hold. And you see that across various areas of the world today. Now, admittedly, do you see various areas where religion gets into government and gets kind of sketched with certain rights around the world today? Yeah. But to claim that Christianity is anything more than a cultural norm for some people in the continent, the Declaration of Independence says creator for a reason and not Yahweh. The Constitution does not mention a deity. Full stop. So
yeah, thank you.
I don't know where you guys are getting your facts from, but
Brett,
sorry.
Yeah. Snaps.
My response to that
exactly
is we are talking about legal frameworks based on ethics.
Enlightenment.
Confucianism.
Enlightenment.
Confucius.
Rome.
Are you going to let me contend with your argument?
I know your argument. You can share it if you want, but you're trying to debunk Confucianism, and that's not my point.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not at all.
I apologize for finishing point. I apologize.
Okay. So on the basis of Confucianism, he may have shared Christian values 400 years before Christ. When did China implement Confucianism into law? Because Taoism,
400 BC.
The martial
400 BC.
Confucianism was not implemented into law in China.
Go read it.
Taoism was. Taoism took over the entire state of China and drove Confucianism out of the country through force.
His point is that like Confucius
America
also wasn't the first person. Confucius is just an example of a pre-Christian version of treat others as yourself, right? Like reciprocity has been a thing since even before like Confucius, I would say. Like ancient Egypt talks about it. There's the Hammurabi, like the Code of Hammurabi. There's the Ma'at. What is that? The Ma'at. What do they call that? Like laws. The ancient Egyptian laws of Ma'at, or the Declaration of Innocence, is the 42 laws of Ma'at, M-A''AT. It's an ancient Egyptian ethical, moral, and legal guideline that says things like: do not commit adultery, do not murder, do not steal. Do you recognize these?
Yeah, what does that have to do with all people are equal? That doesn't have anything to do with
Well, what I'm saying is
egalitarianism.
that the 10 Commandments, like some of the like main moral like laws, are not like typically Christian, right? So
No,
we
correct.
can show that these laws are taken from previous cultures and religions. So like to assign it strictly to Christianity is kind of silly.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm assigning egalitarianism as an ideology that you can base a legal framework off of to Christianity. I'm not attributing the 10 Commandments to Christianity. Those are pretty basic. Most societies can grasp that concept.
Okay.
I'm
Most
equating
societies.
egalitarianism in the
Sorry.
sense of a legal framework to Christianity, which Egypt didn't practice. Egypt had slaves. And you can actually make the exact argument you tried to make about the Bible to Egypt's society, except it actually works because that's the framework they were operating under. If you try to do it with Christianity, you can't because it's Hebrew.
Are you saying that
philosophy.
Christians didn't have slaves? Because Christians definitely had slaves. Like,
Right. That's what I was.
antebellum
Okay, so now
south
we're attacking the
of
people, not the
American
religion.
history. You look no farther than even like 200 years in the past.
The Christian moral framework doesn't advocate for slavery, though.
You know they
My
had
friend-
like a
Point in
literal
time.
slave
Okay,
Bible.
So, is someone possessing slaves, would that person be using the egalitarian ideology that you're suggesting? Or would that person, in your mind, be rejecting the egalitarian ideology that you suggested?
If you practice slavery, you are not practicing egalitarianism. No.
Okay.
I would agree with
So that would mean that all those Christians who practiced slavery, that made the country, that said, like you can love your religion. Like I love being a Christian, and you don't
Right.
have to be like U.S. has to be a Christian country for you to love your religion in response to the other guy. But if they all were practicing slavery, then the idea that like they had adopted egalitarianism that only existed in Christianity, how could they have ignored? Like how could they have been Christian and still practice slavery if Christianity is the only religion that recognizes egalitarianism?
The answer to that would be we were the first societies to outlaw slavery in the world.
Didn't France
People
outlaw
stopped
slavery
being
before
immoral
the
and
U.S.
wisened
did?
up,
Didn't France
which was
outlaw
based on
slavery before the
Christian
U.S.
moral
did?
frameworks,
I'd
which
have
was
to
which was based on Christianity, Roman Catholicism. Like, what are we even talking about? Yes, Christian societies outlawed slavery
here's my
before
problem.
everyone else.
So and sorry, Dionysus, somebody just sent a super chat. Hold on, I just gotta see who it is. Dionysian 4689 says the Christians were with slaves in the Bible, in the book of in Philemon or Philemon, which sounds like a Digimon, right? No, beyond that though, I would say that like the problem is I agree with Ellis, and that's not a problem, but I would say that people used Christianity to justify slavery, right? Like they used Leviticus 25, 44 through 46. They used the idea of the curse of Ham. Do you know about like that story?
Oh, sure. I'm not debating that
the
bad
descendant
people
of
don't
Noah.
exist.
That they like walked into Noah, who was passed out drunk in the tent, and then Noah said like, I'm going to curse you, and then he actually cursed his child. And that is considered the curse of Ham, which then like was later used as a way to justify things like like considering people that had a darker complexion as cursed, and that they deserved like death, almost like that they weren't equal to people that had lighter skin. This is also shown in
that's Levitical as well.
Yeah, this is also shown in Mormon faith. The curse of Ham is part of Mormons are Christians.
No, they're not. They don't believe in the divinity of Jesus.
Nobody here believes that.
But the thing is that people are, like, I would say that maybe like a good Christian or something like that. They all have different interpretations of how they're going to take these old laws, but they used it to justify something like slavery.
Right. So, like, the way you just said that Mormons aren't Christians.
People don't exist.
Okay, so let me take the argument. You just said that Mormons aren't Christians because whatever they believe does not align with Christian values, right? You've decided, even though they consider themselves Christians, they're not Christians because they're still bad or whatever. So would a slave owner still
doesn't
be a
align
Christian?
with Christian dogma, not even
Right.
any of that.
So a slave owner back during those times in America, would they have been Christian? Is that still a Christian?
You can still be Christian and be a bad person. I don't understand how sin stops you from being a Christian.
Right. So what are you using to determine that Mormons simply aren't Christians? Because you didn't say that Mormons are just bad Christians. You said Mormons are not Christians, but these slave owners were still Christians. They were just bad Christians. So how are you determining?
They believe in things that are antithetical to Christian dogma. Like,
isn't slavery antithetical to Christian dogma? Is slavery not antithetical to Christian dogma? So then how would the people back in the 1800s that owned slaves still be Christian?
Right.
By that reasoning, they wouldn't be Christian either.
Are you one of the people that's Christian? Or
by your standard, they're not Christian.
Ellis is, yes.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I am a Christian. I'm just saying that by that standard, that would mean they're not Christian.
Before?
Yes.
Okay, so are you a Christian?
Yes.
Okay, are all sins equal under the eyes of God?
Yes.
Okay, well then I don't see how your argument holds.
Well, you're saying that Mormons
what would you say?
How can they not be a Christian and commit sin?
Because, again, I didn't make the claim that Mormons aren't Christians. You claim that Mormons are not Christians because what they believe is antithetical to Christian ideology. So if you believe that slavery is fine, and that's antithetical to Christian ideology, then that would mean, by your own logic, you are also not a Christian.
Yeah, it's the no true Scotsman fallacy,
There's a specific...
Right?
How are you getting to that
it's not. There's a specific criteria that makes Christian. Would you say a Muslim is a Christian?
No, a Muslim is not a Christian because they're not a follower of Jesus Christ.
Right. A Christian. Is a Mormon a Christian?
If you're a follower of Jesus, the definition of Christian is a follower of Jesus Christ.
Mormons are not a follower of Jesus. They don't believe in the divinity of Jesus.
Isn't their congregation called the Church of Latter-day Saints?
Of Jesus Christ.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?
Yeah.
Right, that's fine. By your definition, they're Christian. And so were those slave owners Christian? Jesus Christ.
They were I say they were bad, but they were following Jesus. They considered themselves followers of Jesus. They were just being bad at it. So yes, I would say that they were Christian.
I would agree with Ellis.
Of course. I mean, this line of logic doesn't make any sense, though. You can't be a Christian and not believe in the divinity of Jesus, which Mormons don't believe in the absolute divinity of Jesus. They hold Joseph higher than Jesus. They hold Joseph as more supreme to Jesus, which means you cannot be a Christian and be Mormon. They are antithetical.
So your definition of what makes a Christian is not whether or not it's antithetical to Christianity, it's whether or not they believe in the divinity of Jesus.
The original thing I said was that it's antithetical to Christian dogma.
Right.
Dogma.
And then I asked you, is slavery
practices of the faith?
I would personally say that slavery
believes
is something that Jesus was okay with. Jesus said to follow your earthly masters. Like slaves follow your earthly masters. So I mean Jesus was fine with it. But I think that your take on Christianity is a good take, though, Ellis, and I support it. So like I'm not trying to like completely deny that like Jesus would be against slavery, but I think that there's contradictions. I think that
Well,
there's contradictions.
my only point is you've created a standard in your mind of who's really Christian and who's really not, and that's fine. You can do that, right? Like
It wasn't created
that's
by
fine.
us. It was
Like you
created by
can
the
believe.
Christians.
Sure.
It was created
What
by
makes a
Christ.
true Christian? Right.
That's
You
who
can make
opposed
what makes a
these.
true Christian. My only point is if you're deciding that and that's antithetical to what Christians believe, then if you practiced slavery and you believe that was fine, that would be antithetical. And by definition, you would not be a true Christian. And since the US was founded by those kind of Christians, if they were fake Christians and not true Christians, then by definition, the U.S. would not be a Christian country.
Right. I would agree with Ellis and say like it's a tough pill to swallow, but yeah, they would be Christians, but bad Christians. Right.
Has everyone here heard
Wait,
of the
so
no
you just
true
contradicted
Scotsman fallacy?
him. You said that
Yeah,
they are.
Brett, I'm right with you on that.
Are Christians, and Ellis said they're not Christians. You guys didn't say the same thing. You said you agree with him, and then you said something different.
I said that they are bad Christians. They're not
right, but
like good Christians, right? They're still Christians.
Right, but what Ellis said was if they practiced Christianity, if they practiced slavery, they were not practicing Christianity. They were not true Christians. Therefore, the U.S. was not.
He was doing an internal critique of Clay's position.
No one ever said that.
What?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that you can't be a Christian.
Did I mishear you?
Do you not remember the whole argumentation that I gave you that if you lie, that's a sin? So under your logic, you can't be a Christian.
So
if you've ever lied,
I think you're talking to Jack as if he were Ellis, and I think there's a little bit of confusion going on here. I believe. Yeah. So I could just clear everything up, and I do have to be signing off here soon. Sorry, it's kind of a short day. But
what was your name, man? The host?
My name's Benny, by the way. Benny.
Thank you, Benny. Right on.
Brett, appreciate you, and Jack also, and Clay. I appreciate all you guys coming on here and having this discussion. I think that the designation of the name Christian is something that is hard to actually like put your finger on, right? There's like the Catholic, like whether or not you assign yourself to the creed of like Nicene, right? The Nicene Creed. And that's like a strictly Catholic take, right? Like, but there's also like Puritans, there's Protestants, there's Calvinists, there's Mormons, there's all kinds of different like designations of Christians. Some believe in salvation through ransom. Some of them believe in salvation through like justice or something like that. There's like a whole bunch of different things that church fathers squabbled over and had councils over, and they tried to decide, is hell a thing? Is hell not a thing? Is purgatory a thing? Is purgatory not a thing? So like to try and like narrow down what exactly is a Christian is tough to do. And I would say that maybe like to generalize like somebody that believes in like an eternal soul, that believes that Jesus was the reason for the trade-off of the like original sin, like hell punishment that everybody was supposed to be given, and then Jesus was the fulfillment or whatever of this debt, right? Either through ransom or through justice or whatever ways that this type of salvation was done. I think like just the salvation alone is the Christian idea, right? So like, except for, I don't know, there's Gnostics, and I would say that they were even Christian, and they didn't believe in salvation. They actually believed in wisdom, that the way to like enlightenment was the like way to like get beyond the physical world and to like whatever.
Gnostics also didn't believe that Jesus even died and was resurrected. They also
because you don't need Jesus to die, right? Like the salvation whole story is not necessary, because like their belief that
if they don't,
I would still say that they are Christians, because a lot of the Gnostic
believe in the divinity of Jesus to be a Christian.
Like some of the early Gnostics are quoted literally in like the New Testament.
Right, but and even then, there are two things. Even using his reasoning from earlier, that if you lie, all sins are equal in the eyes of God. If we're going to say that denying the divinity of Jesus is wrong, then that would make it a sin, and that would mean all sins are still equal in the eyes of God. So if lying doesn't make you not a Christian, then denying the divinity of Jesus also wouldn't make you not a Christian if it's just a sin.
Hold on. Yeah, was
That's
somebody
not
making
true,
fun of me saying and because yes, I
at all.
am thinking when I'm saying and for the next words, I try to choose my words at least somewhat.
Is there any scripture that says in order to be a Christian you must accept the divinity of Jesus?
Okay, well, let's just think about this for a second.
Jesus
I
says
appreciate
that he
you
is the way,
trying
the
to
truth,
figure
and the
out.
light, and the only way to get to the Father is through him. Right there.
But
yeah,
does
the
he
short
say,
answer, yes.
That's not saying in
Yes,
order to
the
be a
only
Christian,
way to get to the Father.
You must believe that
the
Jesus
only
is
way
God.
to inherit eternal life is to have faith in Jesus, and that faith has to be in the right person.
That's
right.
Paul.
If I say if I'm Jesus, and then I tell you he was a Muslim
Paul.
man that lived in the year 800 and he didn't die for my sins, and I'm doing that because I'm trying to subvert the narrative. Like, it doesn't matter who I am claiming I believe in. It's not the real Jesus, right? So at some level, we have to have the real Jesus to believe in. You can't make up Jesus, say you believe in him, and then be saved, right? And so to say who is Christian and who isn't, like, I don't think it's an easy question to answer, right? It's the Bible says it's by faith that we know, right? We know by their fruits, right? There's a lot that goes into it. It's not just a you believe these sets of premises, therefore you're a Christian, right? It's a lifestyle. It's things, right? But part of it is having faith in the right person.
Right, and then a lot of people would, but again, a Mormon would make the exact same argument and say that's why you need to believe that Jesus is the Son of God and not God, because you have to have faith in the right person. So it's the same argument.
No, actually, that's not true. Actually, Mormons would say, "Oh no, Christians, you're in God, you're just ignorant, but God is going to give you eternal life." Right, but like that's a whole nother conversation. Like what I'm saying is Christians.
I don't know exactly what Mormons believe, but
right. Well, I know I'm not.
Well,
we don't
Mormons,
have to get into
the
that.
end
But
goal for
my
Mormons
point
is that they eventually ascend to their own godhood on a personal level.
Sure,
and everybody,
I don't know a whole lot
the
about
whole
Mormonism.
Eternal spirit is a Mormon idea, right? The human soul is eternal.
Mormonism,
that's
basically
right. It's a different set of beliefs, right? And so, like, the prompt is, the U.S. is a Christian country. While I may not say it is right now, I would agree with the other caller and say that it was founded on a set of Christian belief, right? The laws, the moral structure.
Why
right?
would
No,
hang
John
Adams, one of the founding fathers, and the Senate
structure
in the Treaty of Tripoli of 1797? Actually, I think it was 1796. Either way, the Treaty of Tripoli,
I could ask
Article
the same
11.
Thing back to you and say,
have
why did they say
into law,
all men are created?
No, hold on. What I'm saying to you is that it's written into American established document that the founding of America was in no sense in any way Christian.
Right, okay, but it
this
was
is
also
straight from the Treaty of Tripoli.
Into the U.S. documents that all men are created equal.
My name is
under
Benny.
God, under our Creator. For life, liberty, pursuit of property.
Yeah, those are
Same thing
Thomas
back to you.
Paine.
Well, why did
you're quoting Thomas Paine. Oops, sorry, hold on.
Again, the whole argument kind of centers around if they really were using Christian values to create the nation and they really believed in egalitarianism, then slavery would have been outlawed right when they did the Declaration of Independence.
So, Article 11, again, this is just for people that hadn't seen it from earlier. Right there says the government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion. Now, this is from 1796 and 97. This is signed off by the Senate.
It's under the presupposition of war, right? We can have we can have relations with these people, because we're not a Christian nation that doesn't allow any sort of like intermingling of faith. We can have Muslims in our country and let them be U.S. citizens. Even that, like that's no point against the claim that Christianity was founded on Christian
I mean, hey,
moral
Christian
moral
I think
system.
that's a very good argument against it. Because yeah, you probably could frame that. I still would disagree though. Like,
what's the positive? What would you say that the U.S. was found? Like, was it secular? Was it?
I'm just trying to say,
I mean,
like,
that's kind of the only other option.
Christianity is trying to take the thunder, right? Like, trying to take the idea as if like that it's strictly Christian. I mean, when I think that it's more Western philosophy, Greek philosophers. I would say that a lot of it is based off of earlier religions, like Judaism, or even before Judaism, Zoroastrianism.
Yeah, but the founders of America were largely professing Christian.
I would just say that Christianity is just, you know, an appropriation, and maybe that is Christian, like to like put them all together and like create this like Christian identity out of like it. But I would say that America is maybe, you know, like Christians are not a foundational part of it, but like, you know, the fact that Christians are involved is something I don't deny.
Let me maybe put it this way:
so it was founded as a Christian country.
No,
it was founded as a Christian country.
No, I said foundation.
But Christian
foundation. No,
right. But what I heard you say. Well, okay, hang on. Let me see if I got it right.
Like fundamentally, like these are Christian like people that like were Puritans, right? That were pilgrims like in the early colonizing. But I like, for instance, there's nothing in the Bible that says go over to this like foreign land of frontier and colonize it, right? Like to go and
exactly.
Like where is that verse in the Bible?
But respectfully, like, that all that says is by they didn't do a Christian thing, right? But like, so like I'm not gonna accept that necessarily, because who's to say it wasn't Christian, right?
It's okay to generalize.
Like you're just saying America that's not Christian.
Okay, I will. Okay. I'll give you this. I'll make this concession here. I think it's okay to generalize America. Like if we're a majority Christian country, to say like, okay, yeah, like they're a majority Christian country, like, or like, you know, generally they're a Christian country or what have you. You know, like I don't deny the fact that there's a church on every freaking like city block, right? And there's a bunch of billboards in the Midwest that say like, I trust in you, Jesus. You know, stuff like that. Like I would say that's definitely happening, and that is apparent. I'm not trying to like shy myself away from that fact.
Are we more or less secular now than we were in 1776? Are we more or less secular as a country?
You're looking at it as like the people of the country. I'm looking at it as like the
no, actually, like, I mean the governing body. Yeah, no, I
would say that the emolument, or not the emoluments clause. The emoluments clause has also been just, you know, destroyed. But the establishment clause is getting flirted with, right? Like so, this the anti-Christian like task force that was created, that's like headed up by Pam Bondi, is a direct like going directly against the establishment clause. To like try and federalize Christianity in any kind of way would go directly against the establishment clause.
I'm trying to think of a good example.
Okay, so is that, or would you say we're more or less secular than at the founding?
America. I would say that the framework of America is secular. Yes, very secular, and trying not to be religious, like very purposefully.
Okay, right. I would agree with you there, right? I can see that. My point is, and I think what we were talking about earlier, what I was trying to talk about, is at the founding, we were more Christian, right? We were more Christian in not just the people, right? The people that formed the government were, but the government system itself was more Christian. We've gotten more secular as a nation.
I get what you're saying.
Right? Regardless of the self-professing Christians that are on every street corner.
Right.
Like,
I think
you
that
know,
was a
if
good
everybody's
question.
a Mormon,
Right.
Okay,
Okay, this is kind of
Maybe
my
I should
question.
change my prompt to like America is not founded on Christianity or something like that.
Yeah, here, can
Yeah,
I pick your brain for a
right,
second?
that's
can
what
I
I
ask
would
you a
disagree
question real
with.
quick? Can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
So, like,
Yeah.
let's say, because I guess Mormons aren't a good example if they believe that black people weren't equal. But let's take any non-Trinitarian Christian faith, Unitarian, Jehovah's Witnesses, whatever you want to take, non-Trinitarian Christian faith. If, let's say that a Jehovah's Witness or a Unitarian founded the country and wrote, you know, all men are created equal, would you say that the country is founded on Christian values if one of them did it?
That's a good question. I would say inherently no, because there would be a lot of other changes, right? Like I'll be honest with you, I'm not a super like studied person. This is literally the first line I joined. You know, I love talking about stuff, but for me to tell you exactly what would be different, I couldn't do that. I just know that because the founding, like I could just as a short term say the founding fathers were by and large Christian. If they were a non-Trinitarian, you know, XYZ, there would be so many other different. Do you get what I mean?
Well, I mean, the
Right. And so
previous
if they
guy
were to,
based it completely on the idea of egalitarianism. Christians are the only ones that believe that all men are created equal. So do non-Trinitarian Christians not believe that people are created equal?
well, I would just say, I mean, I would use the same logic you were using earlier to say that if like Red Corner came to me and said, all men are created equal, you know, God created them all equal, man and women, I would assume they're Christian because of the framework, right? The framework of society we live in.
So if a Jehovah's Witness told you, I believe all men are created equal, God created them, men and women, would you assume that person is Christian?
Yes.
So
from the same foundation. Like what I was saying is the logic you were using earlier about how Christianity stole from other religions and it's a conglomeration of different beliefs that now form Christianity. Well, now that Christianity is the foundation that these other religions are stealing from, right? So I would, if this witness were to say that to me, they'd sound like a Christian because we're Christian. I would have to go on through further questioning to figure out what they believe about Jesus, what they believe about the afterlife, what they believe about human deeds. You know what I mean?
Sure, but none of that is in the Constitution. The only thing that's in the Constitution that aligns with Christian values is the egalitarianism.
Right,
so that's
like
kind of my entire point. So if someone
it's
that you
just
consider
egalitarian.
to be a non-Christian wrote that and agrees with that, would the U.S. still be a Christian country?
Well,
like if a
I
Buddhist
think it's
was a
informed
founding
by
father
the
that put
religion
that in
of the. Say again.
Like say like a founding father was a deist or you know like didn't claim Christianity. Actually Benjamin Franklin is a perfect example of this. Benjamin Franklin in fact said like was quoted as saying or was this Mark Twain? It might have been Mark Twain, but I think it's Benjamin Franklin that said like a good heretic is in the eyes of God is something like just as good as or is better than a bad Christian or something like an evil Christian. Something along those lines. It was said by Benjamin Franklin, which is kind of a heretical
I think
thing
I know
to
what
say.
you're talking.
So like Benjamin Franklin believes in egalitarianism. He probably is not Christian, and maybe he put that in there. You know, like he in his later days did like try to overturn what he had earlier said about slavery, and helped Pennsylvania, or was it Philadelphia, like abolish slavery around the time. So like
just one
another example of just, you know, like a non-Christian expressing egalitarian ideals.
Okay, one
but
quick
my
second
point
about the Benjamin Franklin
from
quote.
the same moral framework.
Right. My only point is basically if you can look at somebody and say that person is not a Christian, right? Mormons, Unitarians, Jehovah's Witnesses say they're not a Christian, right? But if they believe in egalitarianism and the other guys come around and making the argument like egalitarianism is uniquely Christian, how can it be uniquely Christian if people that you consider to not be Christian also believe in it.
Yeah, the logic is kind of
but
breaking
I
down
have no
there.
idea what you're
I see
asking
what you're saying.
because I don't believe that. Yeah, what I would say is that
and
yeah.
ethics goes. I'm saying it's the earliest rendition of it. And therefore, the people that pulled
Yeah, it's the same
egalitarianism
moral
into their
foundation.
ethical frameworks used
Jack and Clay,
Christianity
I
as the
think you guys
basis for those
haven't.
ethics.
So Jack and Clay, you two that are now just talking are pretty much on the same, I think, wavelength.
So, but again, by definition, wouldn't that mean that the U.S. would need to declare, like, if in order to be a Christian, if you have to declare the divinity of Jesus, wouldn't the U.S. also need to declare the divinity of Jesus to be a Christian country? If you can't be considered a Christian if you don't consider the divinity of Jesus, how can you be a Christian country if you don't declare the divinity of Jesus?
Right. I think
The
egalitarianism is
inhabitants
something
at
that
the
isn't
time of
strictly Christian, and I think Ellis is expressing that quite eloquently.
it stems
Yeah.
from Christianity. Can I just pick your
I
brain
would
for a
completely
second,
agree. I don't
really
know.
quick? It's not going to take that long.
Sure.
Would you agree that in the time of the formation of the United States, the overwhelming majority of people in the country and in the government were Christian?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Okay. So where do you think they got their ethics from to put in the Constitution?
The same place that Christianity got their morals and ethics from, which is Western civilization.
From the Bible, right?
No, from Greek philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, from Hellenism. The idea of hell in itself, like this punishment
Wait, are you
of
not
the eternal soul, is actually taken from Hellenism. Is like literally taken, like they mention Tartarus in the Bible, which is a form of Hades that was meant for people like to be tortured in. So
okay, they were using descriptive
previous
terminology that the people of
cultures,
the time would
the
understand.
morals and ethics of previous places, right? So like I'm not even saying that those previous places are even where those ethics started out, because maybe they got it from somebody earlier, but to like identify it just strictly as Christian will lead you to these kind of like logical breakdowns that Ellis is pointing out. Like egalitarianism is just egalitarianism,
singular
right?
logical breakdown.
Right. Well, here's a logical
Okay,
breakdown,
so
right?
by
You're
that
saying
logic,
that
are you
even though
saying
okay, so like okay, again, go back to Unitarians. You can argue that Unitarians got their idea of egalitarianism from Christians. Like they took that from Christians. Okay, that's fine. But you're still saying a Unitarian is still not a Christian. They do not meet the qualifications to be a
Right.
Christian because they divide the divinity of Jesus. So even if you say the US got its idea of egalitarianism from Christian, if the US in the documents foundation does not affirm the divinity of Jesus, by that same logic, the US would not qualify as Christian.
Right.
No,
So
but the people
I
in the
mean,
I
time
would
frame
agree.
did,
Actually, I
and
think
they
that
But
if
that's-
they did make
imposed
that
their
distinction,
ethics
then I
into the
would say that
government.
USA was a Christian country, right?
I mean, this makes no sense. The people of the time frame professed their faith in Jesus, and they just used the ethical framework of Christianity to build out the laws and the rights of the country.
Yeah, but
yeah,
okay, are
that's
you
the
The
claim. The
ethics of
claim
the
is
country.
not. Well, hang on. The claim is not that the government itself was a Christian entity, right? It's not like that's not right. That's not the claim, right? The government. It's not
That's not
Christian
the claim I'm
nationalism.
making.
The government doesn't have to have perfect. Right? None of us are. Like that's a straw man. None of us are saying the entity of the government, the to impose, on the government, whatever, that Jesus
think that
Christ was God, right?
it's my argument, my claim, and
Right,
I
there
think
wasn't-
that it's
there wasn't a-
fine to
there
generalize
wasn't-
America as a majority Christian country. I think that it's fine to say that Christians were they comprised of most of the like foundational population of early America. And I would also say that Christians were also a large part of slave owners, like, and then this is Ellis's point though, is that like the distinction of the label or identity of Christian, you guys are establishing to the divinity of Christ, which if Mormons can't consider themselves identified as Christian because they don't, like recognize the divinity of Christ, then like your distinction is breaking down. The logic is breaking down right there, because you can now say that America, because it hasn't established the divinity of Christ,
so the U.S. is not a Christian country.
It would not be a Christian country in its identity.
It uses the ethical framework of Christianity to build the ethics
so
of the
Mormons.
government and the
I think
rights.
the,
but you just
the ethics of Christianity aren't typically Christian.
1776.
You just said that Jehovah's Witnesses, Unitarians, and Mormons
like egalitarian,
all
like
the ethical framework of Christianity. And then you said they're still not Christians. So just because the U.S. uses the ethical framework of Christianity and egalitarianism, which Mormons, Unitarians, and Jehovah's Witnesses all use, you said they still don't qualify as Christian because they deny the divinity. So using the ethical framework is not enough by your own standard to be considered Christian.
The government doesn't
did
acknowledge.
at the founding father. Right, at the founding of America, was there any legislation or written documents that said Jesus is not God?
Was there any documents that said Jesus is God?
There wasn't. So your point is mute.
From silence.
Not denial.
I mean, like, I
right?
get what you're
my
saying.
point is, in order for your argument to stand, it had to go against Christianity.
Your qualifier for what is and is not a Christian.
Well, hang on, hear me out.
According to Ellis,
well, no, hear me out.
And you,
right, by your own logic. Hear me out. Right, so by your own logic, if we say that the founding of America had to have certain dogma enshrined in the legislation in order for it to be qualified as a Christian country, right? That's basically what you're saying.
I'm saying based upon your own, you're saying that in order to be a Christian, the requirement to be a Christian is to affirm the divinity of Jesus, correct?
That is one
correct,
of them,
but everything you've said has been a straw man of my claim. My claim is not.
I think there's been a little confusion. Hold on, just to like, because we also got to be like wrapping this up here pretty. Like I should have been wrapping this up a while ago. But I think that Clay and Jack, I think that like Ellis might be hearing you as one person sometimes, or like might be like, because I don't know what it looks like on your guys' end.
I can only see you.
I'm just on my headphones.
Yeah,
I can't see. I can only see the host. I can't see anybody else.
Okay, but can you see like the little box?
Yeah, correct. Me too.
Right here. So like when oh no, okay, yeah, it might not be on there.
Here, really quick, Ellis.
Sure.
The things that you're talking about the Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses and all of those things, and equating it to it implying that the foundation of America doesn't have anything to do with Christianity. I mean, that can only realistically be the case if those religions were present at the time, when none of the formations of those religions had even happened at the
I'm sure there were
conception.
Unitarians at the time.
Yeah, whether there was or there wasn't. My only point
doesn't even
is,
make any sense.
You set a standard.
Clay.
Yeah, I'm saying that your qualifier to what makes someone a Christian doesn't apply to the U.S. Because even though those religions came after and used
that's
the same Christian, but they use the same egalitarian Christian framework, but they still don't qualify as Christian to you. So if the U.S., if your entire basis for them being Christian is using the same egalitarian framework, that still wouldn't apply because other religions use that framework and you still don't consider them Christian.
And it was only in Christianity at the time frame of the formation of the country. Your
Buddhism
existed. Makes zero
Buddhism
sense.
existed at that time, and
again, even if
the founding fathers weren't Buddhist.
But Buddhists were definitely egalitarian. Yeah, Buddhists are definitely egalitarian.
No, they were
what
not.
are you talking about? Okay, how are Buddhists not egalitarian?
Buddhists believe that Buddhists are better than non-Buddhists. You can't be egalitarian if you have that view.
Where do Buddhists believe that Buddhists are better than non-Buddhists? Can you name me the tenant?
I think there's like almost like nothing more egalitarian than like
to name you the exact tenet.
I would say.
Then how can you make the claim that they make that Buddhists believe that non-Buddhists aren't as good as Buddhists if you don't know the exact tenet, if you don't know enough about Buddhism?
It's on you to debunk me. Debunk me.
It's on you. I
can make any claim I want.
Here's an
I
AI.
just did debunk you because you can't prove your claim.
Here's the an AI.
You didn't provide any
answer
evidence
here.
to suppose that it's wrong other than saying, nuh-uh.
So here's core egalitarian principles of Buddhism. Universal potential. Buddhism teaches that everyone, regardless of status, can become a Buddha. Rejection of caste and race. The Buddha denied that social class or race determines a person's worth or spiritual capacity. Equanimity. Practitioners are encouraged to develop a, quote, heart of equality. Equanimity. I'm having a really hard time saying that word. Viewing all beings as equal in their desire for happiness.
Bobby,
Oh my gosh, it's almost like Thomas Hobbes, or not Thomas Hobbes, but maybe that was Thomas Paine. Put this, like equal and desire for happiness.
You're comparing a current day AI overview of what Buddhism is and comparing it to what Buddhism 2,000 years ago. It's today, because you have to show what Buddhism was. Not that Buddhism isn't egalitarian or anything like that. I would think fathers were in any way Buddhist. So I don't know how this is relevant at all.
That you read about Buddhism doesn't have anything to do with with intrinsic value of human beings. It has to do with their compatibility with the religion of Buddhism.
Because I could just make the claim that modern day Buddhism took that belief that there's intrinsic human value regardless of social class. I could make the claim that they just stole it from Christianity.
Would that make Buddhism Christian?
I would make that same claim about Christians.
In that case, would that make Buddhism Christian?
Right.
Because if the U.S. stole egalitarianism from Christian, that wouldn't make them Christian.
Yeah, would if Buddhists stole this from Christianity?
No,
does
no.
That
What I made is
Christians?
Is that Buddhism could take the intrinsic value of humans and apply it to modern day Buddhism, and it's a stolen presupposition. It's a stolen fact they got from. I'm not saying necessarily. I don't know that, but I'm saying I could say that because modern day Buddhism is. In order to prove me wrong, you'd have to show text of Buddhism that says there's intrinsic human value.
Okay,
right? My view of egalitarianism is like the equality between sexes, not intrinsic human value.
Right, sure. And by that same argument,
am I wrong about that? I might be.
Buddhism. If you say, even if let's pretend for a second, Buddhism did steal egalitarianism, right, and adopt it as their own, but that doesn't make them Christian. They just stole from Christianity. All that would mean when it comes to the U.S. is that the U.S. stole egalitarianism from Christianity, but it didn't make them Christian. It just meant they stole egalitarianism from a belief system.
Oh my God! Wait, and wouldn't that? And if they baked that into the moral framework of the country, wouldn't that mean the foundational framework of the country is Christian?
No. That would mean they stole it.
How?
Then you'd have to argue.
All right, everybody.
Let me clear something.
We got 2 minutes. So how about this? We just do some final thoughts. Let's do some final thoughts here. Let's just, because I think we could go at this for hours, honestly. Let's just do some final statements, and we'll just have to leave it there. And maybe we can pick up this conversation next time I go live, which will probably be Monday around the same times. So, Ellis, what is your final thoughts?
Let me spit it out. So,
hold on, Ellis. I'm talking to Ellis, not Jack. You'll get your turn.
Go for it.
To address each point quickly, you should be woke. I think you can be if you want to. If you don't want to, I think that's fine. I think it's just everyone's prerogative and what they can do. Again, supporting LGBTQ. Again, I think that's up to each person's prerogative. If that's a community you want to support, you're more than welcome to. If you want to support Christianity, if you want to support Islam, everyone is going to support the community that means the most to them. And that's how people have been. That's just what people do. And I think if you do that, that's just what you do. As far as the U.S. being a Christian country, again, based upon the framework that they laid out, I don't believe the U.S. will qualify as a Christian country because nowhere does the U.S. affirm the divinity of Jesus, which all these Christians mentioned is a requirement to be a Christian. And to probably sum it up and maybe give people a little more point of view of where I'm coming from, I am a Jehovah's Witness.
All right. Thank you, Ellis. I really appreciate you. Thank you for coming up. And I really I seriously do appreciate like you, and I respect your beliefs, honestly. And like, even though I say, certain things, I honestly, if you're practicing and you're not pushing it on anybody else, I really don't have a problem with it. I think that there's a world in which that everybody can actually, respect each other. So,
I agree.
I appreciate you. Jack or Clay, let's go with Clay. I'll have Jack kind of round it up at the end. Clay, any last thoughts?
Yeah, this was a really actually fun call. I enjoyed it a lot. I had a great time. I kind of wanted to hone in on the one topic that nobody seemed to be discussing.
Which one was
and
that?
I think that the USA not being a Christian country topic, nobody was really doing that until I entered.
You're
at
right.
least from what I noticed.
Good job.
I thought it would be a fun conversation. I think that I used good logical reasoning to explicate why the people of that time were Christians, and all of the other religions that were brought up by Ellis didn't even exist in that time period. And if the people of that time period were Christian and they baked their own moral, ethical frameworks that they got from Christianity into the foundations of the government, that would, in essence, make the United States a Christian founded government.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, Clay, I really appreciate you coming in. It was a fun conversation. And nobody got too hurt or anything. I don't think anybody's leaving here with any chips on their shoulders or anything like that. I think that it was a very respectful conversation, and I really appreciate y'all. I'm not sure if Jack is still here or not. I don't believe so. So I'm going to wrap things up, and
I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you guys.
Yeah. We'll have to do it again. And maybe I'll change this up, because I don't necessarily disagree with you either, Clay. Generally, there's Jack. Jack, if you want to have a last little, ending statement, yeah, you're more than free to.
Sweet, right? Yeah, I mean now?
Yep, right now.
Okay. Well, likewise, I really appreciate the conversation. I think ultimately the only way to get to what is true is by talking about it.
Sure.
And, having a conversation. And so, with that, thanks, guys. I had a ton of fun. I would definitely say regarding the problem, no, you shouldn't be woke for various reasons. I think ultimately it's harmful. It isn't true, but that's a whole nother conversation. I don't agree with the whole you should support LGBTQ. I know you said you should accept them, but even that gets sticky. I think that it's not a good thing. I don't mean to offend anybody. It's just my reaction. When it comes to America being a Christian country, I would say it's not right now, and it's I think we're very secular. I think there's a lot of evil things going on, very deprived. But we were founded using Christian foundational moral framework, the moral framework of Christianity. And if on the line you subvert that, like a Mormon would, or a Jehovah's Witness would, or a Unitarian would, while that may make you not Christian, it doesn't mean you're not using Christian moral ethics as your framework. And that was the claim. And so with that, thank you, Bobby, Clay, and I'm so sorry, I forget the last
Benny
name.
is my name, not Bobby. But hey, I'll take Bobby. That's Ellis. Ellis is the other one. And
Ellis.
I appreciate you guys all. And maybe we can continue this conversation again. Like I said, Monday through Friday, usually on around the same time on Deconstruction Junction on YouTube or on TikTok. You can find me at just like Benny_boy on TikTok. And so, with that, I'll let the audience kind of take, everybody's arguments and they'll decide from there whether or not their minds got changed.
Time for me to go to my night shift.
Right. Have a good night and happy Friday, everybody. Bye.
Take care, guys.